In This is the Etheric Touch Shadow Work and Illumination. This is the class of initiation.
Yes, so this class is a little bit longer, so we're gonna try to get through it in this session.
But I
So-
also want you to, this class, this initiation that we're all going through right now, and we wanted to make sure that all the pieces of the puzzle was there for you, so that as you move through this initiation, you can have grounding, be centered in what actually is happening, and be able to release any tension, any burdens, anything that may be happening in your life, like understanding that understanding clearly why this is happening. A lot of times when we hear people talk about initiation, a lot of times when we hear people talking about initiation, we tend to have this like almost as if it is an achievement, no doubt about it, but we don't understand what that walk really feels like as you walk through initiation, as you walk through the darkness. And so we wanted to try our best to make sure that it is as clear as possible so that we can get to that illuminating space, because that's where we're headed to.
Right, and we have to understand that illumination or initiation is about entering into the darkness.
Absolutely.
Entering into the darkness, even the experience that me and Osuntola had, we had to enter into the darkness, literally, in order to come out on the other side in the light or illuminate. And so this class right here is going to be very powerful.
Absolutely.
It's going to be, and like Osuntola was saying, like understanding, like even the Bible, most of us come from the Christian background, and it says the only reason that people perish is from a lack of understanding of what's going on.
And our ancient cultures, initiation lasted a lot, like a lifetime. You would actually be going through
different
mystery school system teachings all the way up to 40. The mystery school systems, the initiations would never stop. It would always be. And so you got up to the age of 40 where you're starting to now be an elder in the wisdom of life. And so even in those initiations, there were trying times. There was things that they had to overcome, fears that they had to overcome within themselves and face in order to get through those tests. And so I encourage you all to just look at whatever is going on in your life as this major test that is happening.
Initiation.
This is your initiation.
Right. And and understanding like what we understood in our culture, that the final initiation that we will all face is the initiation of death. Like coming to understand that that's only an illusion. Like that is the final initiation in this realm. And so like we are all going through these metaphorical deaths right now, that we have to let things die off in order to be reborn again. If we are not willing to let things die off, then how can we be born again?
Absolutely.
Right? And so let's just get into it.
Every culture on the planet recognizes the 7 passages or initiations human beings have undergone since the dawn of time. Each initiation marks a break with the past, which invites you to step into who you are becoming, thus attaining illumination. Initiation can be experienced as hormonal or physiological changes that accompany each passage, or they can be lived mythically with full attention to the emotional and intellectual landscapes that they open up. Mythical initiation requires the death of a personal story and an archetypal rebirth and a new and greater personal you.
Right, that's what we were just talking about. It's this metaphorical death that we have to go through at certain points in our life, to where it speaks about the past. Like everything that we have been through is leading up to a profound moment of understanding why we have went through certain things that we have been through in our life, that brings this illumination. Okay, this is why this happened. This is why I had to go through this. Like this is what this was about. This metaphorical depth, or this metaphorical transformation that we all have to go through in our life. Like this is a design. This is a cosmic design. No one escapes it. And this is what we have to understand. Go ahead.
One of the things that I also wanted to say is like a lot of times when we are starting on our spiritual journey, we think that it's all rainbows and glitter, but it's actually a cycle that is taking place. We have to go through these tests. We have to go through these initiations. We have to go through these trials in order to get to this illuminated state.
Right.
And so when we're talking about this mythical initiation, we are talking about magic. When we're talking about this death of our personal story,
Right.
we are talking about magic. When we're talking about this archetypal rebirth, we are talking about the magic. Okay.
Right.
If you are able to recognize when you are on the threshold and bravely surrender to the process of initiation, you will come through the pain and stop feeling like life is something that is happening to you. When you experience your initiation, your feelings of powerlessness and fear dissipate, and in their place arises courage, curiosity, and creativity. You finally break the spell that caused you to be drained by all the dramatic events of the past. There are 7 toxic emotions that must be confronted during initiation and that give rise to every limiting belief we hold. This emotion has been programmed into our brain by nature. They are known as the 7 deadly sins, personified as demons because of their extraordinary power.
Right. And so, like, once again, I just want to point out that in this slide, like, this is a design, like these things was programmed into us, like these 7 deadly, like I'm pretty sure we all heard of the 7 deadly sins before. You know what I mean? But these things were programmed into our neural makeup that, you know, like we can't escape it. Like these are the things that we must face. These are the initiations that we must go through. And another thing that stands out about this slide, it says these 7 deadly, what they call sins, or some even call demons. Any other shadow, like all the shadows stem from one of these 7 deadly, what the Bible call it, sins. I think the Bible call it 7 deadly sins. But each one of the shadows that we face in our journey of life stem from one of these.
Yes.
And this is what we have to understand. We have to understand what we are facing in life. Like we have to understand, you know, like what is required of us. Like we have to understand the work that we have to put in our life. So when these times, because like we all know initiation happens in a person's life at certain stages of your life. So we have to understand when we have reached a certain points in our life, in the tests that comes with that, because this is all about elevating to the next levels, just like the school system. So we have to be aware of when we are being faced with one of these initiations so we can complete the initiation, thus bringing illumination. But like I said, in most cases, people don't complete the initiation. They don't complete them. So like this class is going to really, you know, like give us an understanding of what happens when we don't complete those initiations and how we cannot run from it.
One of the things I also wanted to do is help us to stop having such a victim mentality when it comes to life.
Right.
A lot of times we say, why is this happening to me? Why does this always happen to me? Not recognizing that we are being put in certain positions, and in such an interesting, beautiful way. We are being put into these positions to really look inside of ourselves more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And being able to confront and integrate with these different aspects of ourselves, so that life is not happening to us anymore, but we recognize our power in that moment, our courage in that moment, our creativity, and how we are able to navigate these moments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We are not victims. This is not things that life is doing to us, but it's causing these triggers. You know what I'm saying? In order for us to rise to the occasion.
Right. And like Osuntola was saying, like really just to make it a little bit more plainer, like only thing that we're talking about is angels and demons, God and the devil. That's what we're talking about.
Within ourselves.
Within ourselves. That's what we're talking about.
Healers heal themselves first. Initiation is how healers heal their toxic emotions, transforming them into fountains of power and grace. A rite of initiation makes it possible for you to grow without getting mired in adversity and suffering. While we heal toxic emotions, we will continue attracting people who share the same emotional wounds and stories we play out. If we do not discover the toxic excuse me, if we do not discover the lessons that toxic emotions have to teach us, we will end up meeting someone who will make sure that you learn them.
And so like one thing that's once again standing out to me about this slide is like these are things that once again we cannot escape. Like even if we try to escape it, life is going to make sure that we don't. Like even if we try to put it on the back burner or bury it, like life is going to make sure that that does not happen. Like this is the journey of life. This is the journey of life, and like we're going to feel in the journey of life. And like when these what they call toxic emotions arise, they are here to bring us a lesson. You know, like if you're dealing with something like anger, right? Like something makes you angry. And you know how we always teach about like, yo, as long as you are angry on the inside, you're going to continue to attract outwardly things that bring you into the state of being angry until you face it within yourself. This is going to be a continual thing that like a reoccurring thing that always happens in your life. So what we call these shadows are lessons just as great as what we call the lights. It's equal. It's equal. And so, yeah.
One of the things that I also want to express to you all is that it's not about book knowledge. It's not about book knowledge. It's about the actual journey that you're on. It's about the experience that you're going through. And it's about being able to confront it within yourself so that you are teaching from a place of experience.
Right.
Knowledge and experience is what equals wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So you'll see many people talking from a place of knowledge, but you should be able to see the experience through the work, through their transformation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The personal work always stands true. And so a lot of times, and if you all can remember at the beginning, I said, it will be evident if you're doing the work. This is not a personal judgment on anybody. It's just that this is the way it is. It's evident when you are doing the work, because that transformation, when you go through initiation, it changes you.
It changes you.
It changes you.
It grows you. It evolves you. It expands you.
And so even when we are confronting different situations that we are pulling to ourselves, understanding that it's just an opportunity for you to grow.
Right. And then the understanding that the reason why we are pulling certain experiences into our life is because of the lesson that we must learn. The lessons that we must learn in this life.
Deprogram your mind. All emotions are viral programs running in the subconscious recesses of our brain. And every emotion creates suffering for ourselves and pain for others. Feelings are new, fresh, and of the moment. Emotions are old, tired, and programmed into our neural networks in the archaic brain. Once we recognize emotions are as viruses in our primitive neural computer, we can choose not to use them as our primary response to disconcerting situations. Unfortunately, we cling tightly to our dark emotions and the behaviors they generate, finding ways to justify and even ennoble them. After the rewiring of our primitive emotional brain has begun, we stop denying our dark emotions and become consumed by them. Simply allow yourself to feel their mighty force and devoid of all or any stories about why you are entitled to feel this way. You observe the shift within you as the energy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to see behind myself.
Okay, let me get out.
There you go. You observe the shift within you as this energy transforms and leads you to the shore of your destination. So understanding that, one of the things I want us all to understand is all of this stuff that we are dealing with are actually programmings within ourselves. It's actually programmed into our brain to feel these things, the emotions. It's programming that it's happening. And so one of the ways that we are able to deprogram our minds is to take away the story. And I think Conjure has said this before, how we have to take away the story and just feel the emotion in itself.
Right, because we know that the story, like something can happen to a person at childhood, at our early stage in life, but because of the story continuing to replay in a person's mind, then it's something that can plague them throughout their journey of life because of the story. But once we're able to release the story, that energy is still going to present itself, because life is going to make sure that these energies are going to present themselves, so we can have the lessons that these energies come to bring us on our journey. But we have to be able to release the story, because the story keep us from not completing.
It's perpetual.
That initiation. We have to be able to release the story and be able to feel these energies, because all of these energies come to make us wiser, to make us stronger, to help us get to the angel aspect of these energies, because we know that this is a dualistic, reality. And so until we can have that complete experience, whether it's wrath or whichever of these 7 deadly demons or sins that they're talking about, like, we have to experience each and every one of them without a story attached to it, because the story is what's going to cause us to be plagued throughout our life, and it'll put us in a place where we have to experience something over and over and over again.
So in other words, we have to release the idea of that we're entitled to feel this way. We have to release the idea that the reason I'm this way is because that happened to me. That is us perpetually playing the same stories out over and over again in our lives, never escaping the wheel. You know what I'm saying? So that is the goal, and understanding these demons that we are programmed to, so that we can escape the wheel.
Or so we can experience the 7 angels.
Correct. For initiation to be authentic, you can't rationalize your emotions away. Talking yourself out of your rage in a moment is expedient, but it isn't healing. You must experience how this demon of anger can possess every cell in your body. Feel its power. As you discern that pure anger inside of you, you will notice it begins to dissipate. If you find a powerful dark emotion does not dissolve as you hold it in your awareness, it's because there is a deeper story attached to it, yearning to be unearthed. Sit with lust or rage, and you will observe how its energy dissipates when you don't hold on to the story that you attach to it. It becomes a pure sensation instead. If this does not happen after a minute or two, you must look deeper for the story or the idea that lurks underneath the emotion. You will take what has been living in the shadows and bring it into the light. Becoming aware of the source of these emotions we feel is the only way to transform what appears to be our weaknesses into strengths. A shaman learned that responding to pain is by looking around for a responsible party in order to exact revenge or demand justice simply caused more agony. There is no need to waste precious energy perpetually contemplating the nature of your wounds or brandishing the sword surrounding them. Instead, he spotted his wound, recognized the source, attended to healing himself, and stayed alert to the dangle of slipping back into the realm of the predator and prey. The shaman
this looking crazy.
disassembles his own hot buttons instead of expecting the world to stop pushing them.
Okay, we good now? Yeah, so this is about, removing things from the roots.
See if I can.
Go
ahead.
No, it's about uncovering something like from its roots, so these things can't plague our life anymore. Because if we're not able to uproot something that is bringing us pain and heartache or just whatever, like, if we're not able to uproot it, then it's never going to go anywhere. Because as long as that root is there, then this thing has the ability to reproduce itself in our life. So we have to get to the roots of why we are so angry. We have to get to the root of why it is that some of us walk around so sad. We have to get to the root of why, some of us are, live lustful lives or a life of envy. Like, we have to get to the roots of these things, and we have to deal with it from that aspect, so these things can, we can stop them from being reoccurring things that are happening in our life, to get to the root of something. And so, like this slide was saying, if you can't get over when anger arises, like, something can happen in our life and it causes anger to arise in our life. But if we don't know what that something is, and then we have to go into things like, why did this happen to me? You know what I mean? How did I attract this to me? Or we have to make it personal. We have to make it personal, because if we're not able to make it personal, then we'll never have, like the power or the understanding to bring the healing that, we're searching for, like in our life, because we're blaming or we're pointing our fingers at something outside of ourselves instead of finding the root issue inside of yourself, or learning the lesson that, how the other slide says, if we run from particular initiations, then the universe will bring people and situations into our life to make sure that we cannot run. Like it's something that we can't run from. Like it's something that we have to go inside of ourselves to understand more about who it is that we are, or the healing that we need in our own life. Like we have to make these things personal. We have to release the story that is attached to it. This is why I'm always angry. It's a story that goes with that. Like if a person is like, this is why I look like that, a person that's always angry. You know what I mean? It's a story attached to that. Like that's not coming from nowhere. Like what's the root cause of it? Like, because it's a lesson in that for you. And until we get that lesson, then we're always going to walk around as an angry person. Like this is what this is talking about.
And so our goal is to be able to deal with it ourselves, and in order for the world not to be able to hit those buttons and cause us to react. Right. So we are taking a proactive stance with our own demons versus allowing the world to trigger us into reacting in certain kind of ways. And so that's the goal of the shaman. There's no denying, right? There's no denying that we all are confronted with certain things in our lives, right? But one of the things that happens is that we get triggered, and those triggers cause us to do certain things that ordinarily, if we had had the time to actually deal with them, it may not have triggered us in the same way. So it might not have been as big, it might not have been expansive. We would have responded differently. You know what I'm saying? And so the goal, the reason why this is so important, the reason why we are working towards this shamanistic perspective is so that the world can't trigger us any longer, that we can control our own feelings, because we've already dealt with the emotions that are attached to them, so that when they present themselves to us again, we know what to do and how to respond.
And that, like Osuntola was saying, like this is about, in a nutshell, like being like what, self-control, having self-control, and not allowing things out here to control you, because then you just become a puppet. You become a puppet. So what's going on outside of you, you be all over the place with no control. So this is about facing things inside of you. Like it's not I know I keep using anger, but it's not into like we have a full understanding of what anger is. Like when you are faced with something that has made you angry, and you are able to go inside of yourself and extract, or you know what I mean, the lesson out of whatever that thing was. Like when you get in that place, like this is when you can truly help someone outside of yourself with anger, because you confronted it inside of you. Like you gained the wisdom of it, because all of these different which are only energies, have come to teach us different things about who it is that we are, about life, so we can understand life. This is what this is about, and we can't escape them. We can't run from them. They already said each of these 7 emotions are responsible for any shadow that you find yourself in. Like these demons, we have to face them. How they say, like you got to face your own personal demon. Like that's what this is about. We all have to do that.
Denial. Instead of uprooting our anger, envy, gluttony, or sloth, most of us live in denial or dignify these emotional demons until they grow so powerful that they manifest as illness, depression, the loss of a relationship, or some other disaster. In reality, these crises are a wake-up call to be initiated at last, to raise our level of consciousness and face our darkness and our greatness with eyes wide open. You're most likely to immerse yourself in the process of initiation when you are feeling pushed to the edge. Why wait for the disaster to strike you before you accept this sacred transformation? Instead, we can confront Instead, you can confront your demons and call forth the angels of your higher self whenever you recognize that you are stuck in an emotional reaction that isn't working for you. When you ask yourself, why am I so damn angry? I thought I worked through all this rage long ago. Or why can't I be happy for him instead of envying him because he has it so easy? It is a sign you are called for initiation. The choice is yours. Avoid temptation. Avoid temptation to brush away your realization that is a time for a change. Instead, you can confront your demons and call forth the angels of your higher self whenever you recognize that you are stuck. Oh, I already said that. I wrote that twice. Did I write that twice? I did write that twice. My bad.
It's okay.
You needed to see it twice. You are so ultimately, we can't be in denial, right? We can't be in denial, or we can't dignify why it came out that way, right? I can't dignify exploding on somebody because they said hello to me. You know what I'm saying? And what really is interesting is that as you go through these stages, these initiation processes, and then something happens, and you be like, damn, I thought I had already dealt with that. I thought I had already did this already. I thought I had overcome this already. But it is for us to understand that there's still more work to do, and we can choose to do that work.
Right. It's really saying that, like, this is why, I emphasize how they say people perish from lack of understanding. Because when we understand, okay, you know what I mean? When you are able to ask your question, ask yourself the question, like, why am I always so angry? Or why, whatever it is, ask yourself, why am I like this? Instead of pointing your finger outwardly and saying, because this person did that, or whatever the situation is outside of yourself, wanting to blame that. Like, we're never going to heal in that way. We're never going to overcome these emotions in that kind of way. We're never going to find peace in that kind of way, because peace can only be found inside of us, like through the inner work that we do. You know what I mean? It's not ever going to come from blaming someone else or pointing your finger. You're never going to find it in that kind of way, because out here, someone may not never give it to you. They might, you know what I'm saying? Like, a person may try to be like a thorn in your side all through your life. You know what I mean? Like, if you're waiting on them to change, like, it's not about anything out here changing. It's about the changes that we go through on the inside of ourselves, and the things that we face outwardly are only happening so we can come to that place of understanding on the inside of ourselves, so we can face each one of these emotions, because life is going to put you in a position where these things are triggered inside of you. But you have to understand, okay, it's initiation time. It's initiation time. Like, we have to understand that. Like, that's why understanding is most important, because most people live their life with a lack of it. And you know what I mean? And we perish in a whole lot of ways because we lack that understanding. But we get in that understanding now.
Isn't it interesting?
So we have to apply it.
Isn't it interesting that our demons are the cause for our illness? Isn't it interesting that our demons are the cause for our relationships being disintegrated? Isn't it interesting that the reason that we have to deal with all the things that we have to deal with is manifested by us ignoring
inside of ourselves,
that the denial that we have about these things playing out in our lives?
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Thinking that it's someone else.
And so how many times do we I feel like the issue is that we don't even recognize this is the cause. And so we don't know that this is what we need to choose. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even recognize that we have a choice. We think that all we have is the ability to react, when in actuality, we have the ability to choose how we explore, you know what I'm saying, these demons in our life, these emotional demons, so that they don't have to continue to manifest as these different expressions, depression, illness, wreak havoc in our lives. These crises doesn't have to be like, oh my God, this is happening to me, but it'd be like, oh shoot, here we go again. I know I got this. You know what I'm saying? It's empowering.
I know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? And then you go in and you confront these things inwardly. You know what I mean? So we can get to the root cause. And like, in the root cause is that the understanding, okay, it's for me to be introduced to this aspect of who it is and that I am. So I can get to know this aspect of who it is that I am without no story attached to it. Because if we could, like, if we have a story attached to it, we can feel somebody wronged us in such a way that we can come outwardly and like we can hurt somebody. We can hurt somebody. You know what I mean? We can come out here to do damage out here because we feel like out here is the source of that. And even if you come out here and hurt somebody or get revenge, that's not an indication that you dealt with it, because it's going to show up in your life in a different kind of way until we deal with it on the inside of ourselves and understand these. Like, these are initiations, like these are points of initiation in our life, like things that we have to grow from, situations come into our life so we can grow. And we have to understand that, right? Because like these things have been plaguing humanity. And how many people covet? How many people, like, what? Look at all the things that have happened in life because someone coveted or envied something that someone else had, or someone walking around with anger in them to the point of you make a mistake and step on their shoe, they might kill you. Like, all of these different ways that these things have plagued us as individuals, our families, our community, like these 7 deadly demons or sins that, you know, like people have, you know, look at them as objects on the outside of themselves, or things that, you know, people have done to them, or and people have done things to us in our life. But even in those moments we have to understand that the only way that people have done things to us outwardly is because of what needs to happen on the inside of ourselves, so we don't have to worry about these things repeating themselves. It's always going to lead back to us.
One of the things you hear me say a lot of times is that people can only operate with you from the level of healing that they've experienced in their own life. Yes, people do things to us. There's not no denying that.
Right.
People do all kinds of shit all the time to us. You know what I'm saying? But that's because of the level of healing that they've experienced in their own life. Right. And so one of the things that we get the opportunity to do is step back and recognize and realize, like, this is not even a personal thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not personal that you're raging. It's not personal that you're sad or you're lusting, whatever these different emotions are. It's that's you haven't even recognized that in yourself yet. You know what I'm saying? It's all very personal to yourself. It has nothing to do with anything outside of yourself. But a lot of times we're looking at life as these things happening outside of ourselves that's causing us to act within ourselves.
Right. And a lot of times it'd be big moments, like someone can do something to you, you be like, yo, I'm getting ready to kill you.
Or even,
you know what I'm saying? But versus doing that, you recognize, you know what I mean, like this initiation period that you are in your life, and then you still are able to go inside of yourself, and out of this extreme thing that has happened, you are able to work through it inside of yourself and bring yourself to some kind of peace about it, like facing it in that kind of way. It's a hard thing to do.
Yo, even thinking about, like, let's talk about in situations where, you know, everybody gets drunk, right? And then all of a sudden a man that, or a person that you never would have thought would have ever done anything to harm somebody, gets overtaken by their lust because they haven't dealt with it, right? And ends up sexually assaulting somebody because they haven't dealt with that lust within themselves.
Or envy.
You know what I'm saying? Or envy. Like, you know, all of these things are just an indication of the level of healing they've experienced within themselves. I'm not saying it gives them an excuse. Please understand, I'm not saying it gives any of us an excuse. I'm just trying to show you the root of it. You see what I'm saying? During initiation, you will confront deadly emotions as they rear their ugly heads. Allow them to wash through every cell in your body in their purest forms without projecting them onto others. You experience pure wrath, not directed at someone you feel has wronged you. You experience lust, not directed at a person or a thing that you crave. As you cease denying these emotions, you can begin to understand the wisdom that they come to bring.
Sure.
Let's start talking about them. The first demon is anger. Interestingly enough, that's all we usually go. That's our go-to. And anger is conquered by peace. We meet our first demon, wrath, when we are born into a world that is not safe and welcoming. Wrath can be enormously destructive. Anger can be so strong that it blinds us to our creative abilities and the many solutions to a problem available to us. The old prescription of counting to 10 when we are raging addresses excuse me. The old prescription of counting to 10 when we are raging addresses the need to slow down the primitive response.
Right.
Deepening our breaths lowers the heart rate and allows the neocortex to use its executive function, override impulsivity, and access reason, compassion, and creativity. Anger fatigues us physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The neural loops can turn us into raging alcohol, raging alcoholics, continually feeding the nasty beast with our angry thoughts and feeling, even as it opens its jaws to devour us.
Right.
We become consumed by our fury, and it takes every ounce of our energy to keep up the mental tirade about how we have been wronged. Our wrath feeds upon itself as we tell our tale of victimhood over and over again, embellishing it with more details of just how awful our persecutor is and how badly they have hurt or betrayed us.
Right.
If we didn't feel welcomed and safe at birth, you will become distrustful and resistant to life's unexpected twists and turns.
Right.
You will perceive the world as cold and hostile place. It will taunt you at every symbolic rebirth. When we give into anger, we continue to foster the situations that feed rage. We discover we are constantly surrounded by unfriendly people. We consciously invite others to feed off our irritation and resentment.
Right, like people, if they know your buttons, like certain people will try to push your buttons all day long so they can get the response from you that they are used to getting from you. But like what this is talking about, in those moments of like anger, we don't know about peace. Like we just leave peace out of it. Like we don't take that time. Let me just walk away and let me go get my peace. Like we just get caught up in the emotion of anger without peace with it. You know what I mean? And so we respond from out of pure anger. Like the actions that we take can come from a place of pure anger because we didn't tap into the angel side or the divine aspect of who it is that we are, where we ask our self questions like, okay, like what's the lesson and why this happened? Let me calm down. Let me go inward. Let me get out of this primitive animalistic aspect of who I am and take the time and to tap into the divine aspect of who I am too. But most people just lose their selves in wrath or lust or whatever it is. We leave the angel aspect out of it. And this is what we have to stop doing. Because when the two come together, this is where we're going to get the understanding of how we must act or move in a particular situation. But in most cases, we don't do that. When that emotion hit, we react, most people. When that emotion hit, they just react off of that emotion. And so, and we see the kind of destruction that brings in every aspect of our life. Like it's not an aspect of our life that it won't impact, that it hasn't impacted in most situations. And so like we have to live our life in as much as a holistic way as we can.
One of the things
we have to invoke these angels in our life, family. Like when we're feeling these emotions deeply, do not forget about the angel aspect of what it is that we are feeling. Make contact with that as well and see how the two interact with each other and see what you come up with then.
One of the things that the first demon, us as a community, us as Black people, we deal with this the most.
Right.
We deal with this the most because we don't feel welcomed at birth. We don't feel safe at birth. Most of the time, most of the time in our community, we are not getting pregnant on purpose. Most of the time it comes as a surprise to us. And then it comes as, oh my God, like now I have to change my life. Now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. So and what we don't understand is that the baby is physically feeling that unwantingness. You know, and the Fon tribe of Benin, you know, there was a whole celebration happening with the child before it even, in indigenous culture, like it was a whole celebration that was going on in the womb. So the baby so the baby would always understand that it was wanted, it was welcomed, it was safe to come into the world. A lot of times when the baby
major impact,
a lot of times when the baby does not feel that, then this is it won't bring the fullness of itself into birth. It won't, sometimes it won't even come. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not safe. You know what I'm saying? But then on the other hand, when they do come, they're not bringing the fullness of themselves. And so then this wrath, this anger that we have as a community continuously plays out because we don't feel safe here.
And it goes back that deep, like for us to even think about what type of environment was I born into.
Right.
Like what type of environment that I was born into, because we understand the significance that has on our life, like and what we're going to experience, because if we're not born feeling safe, if we're not born feeling love, things like that, then we continue our life with these things being either we don't have them for the world at large around us, or it's minimal because we didn't even bring the fullness of it with us into this experience.
And so what does that show us? Us as a community are the most distrustful of everything. Period. We distrust the people that we meet. We distrust our parents. We distrust our friends. We don't trust the government. We don't trust the hospital. And so all of these different things, I mean, we're not supposed to. Right. I'm not saying that we should, but I'm just showing you how this is playing out as in a community, as our community. That's why we all see each other as being so angry. It's so easy for us to come against each other because we don't have no trust in this place. And a lot of times when we think about when we say, I don't even feel like I belong here. I don't even feel like I belong here. That comes from that feeling of not feeling safe and welcomed at birth.
Right. So we have to be able to go back that deep, because a lot of us on this line, we probably was children of the crack era.
Come on now.
We probably was children. I know I experienced that. Like I came into this reality, when the crack era hit, my whole family was impacted. I done told y'all my mom was addicted to crack and she was an alcoholic. That whole experience, because of, that goes more into what we have experienced as a people, the trauma that we have experienced as a people, and the different traumas that was passed down just through our bloodline, and the conditions that we was born into because of our experience as a people. Like, we just didn't become alcoholics and crackheads. Like, all of these things was ushered into our community intentionally. And so, like, the results of it, like, we are seeing the results of it in the kind of environments that a lot of us have been born into, not feeling safe, not feeling love. We want no real celebration from the fact that you were here. You know what I'm saying? And so we didn't bring all of ourselves into this experience in life.
It really makes me want to honor and revere our ancestors even more, because right now we don't feel safe in being born here. How did they feel in being born here? And they were still able to come, and having to suppress so much of the anger that you see playing out in our community. They was having to suppress it just so that we are here. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I just want you to see the totality. This is not just about us, but just about what like actually flows through our brains when our blood. When we say that sometimes your emotions is not just yours, can you start to see what I mean by that?
Yeah, think of all the sadness that has been passed down through our blood, the anger. Think about like the anger, you know what I'm saying? Like, that we had to embody, that our people had to feel in this lifetime. These things are steady getting passed down generation to generation. And then they come in with the crack era, then they come in with the heroin, then they come in with the alcohol, making sure that most of us was born in messed up environments, because they understand how that impacts the child, and how these things will continue to plague us throughout our life until someone faces them.
Correct.
Until someone faces it.
Does that even make you understand why you are the chosen one? Doesn't that make it even more don't you have an even fuller understanding about why you are the chosen one in your particular bloodline that deals with things, that sees things differently, that trying their best to work through? Right.
And listen, and this is going to be a hard journey, but one thing that we have now that a lot of our ancestors didn't have is understanding. It's understanding. Yes. I have to face this.
And how do we face it?
In my life, so it don't continue to plague myself, my children, the ones around me. We have to face it, because our ancestors was never given the chance to. They was just victims of it. But we have to get rid of that. This is why it's important to get rid of the victim mentality because our people have felt like victims for
So
hundreds
long.
and hundreds of years, victims. And we carry that inside of us from the least things that happen in our life. We become lifelong victims, for an example.
Mm-hmm.
But it has, you know, like these things, like, yo, like this is just letting you know, like, so we can look at this thing in a much broader, holistic way of what's going on in our personal lives and the work that we are faced with.
So how do we deal with it? We tap into the angel of peace. Genuine power lies in the ability to practice peace when confronted with someone else's fury. In martial arts, the students are taught tranquility in order to defeat an opponent, so that he falls on his own sword. Ancient samurai would not confront their enemy while angry because they knew how weakened they would become by that force.
To drain their ashe, their chi.
The angel of peace gives you the strength to let go of your self-righteous story. You are able to step back and recognize how the other person's behavior is rooted in their own pain and chose not to accept the invitation to an angry tussle. Remember, it is not the other person who is picking the fight. It is the demon, the wounded part of yourself that wants to swing. The only way to work through your angel is to let the conquering angel of light in. Making peace is a conscious choice. Take a breath, smile, and as you experience equanimity, tranquility, and acceptance, you become filled with vitality and power. You give up the addiction to drama and invite others to join you. If they refuse, you withdraw yourself and walk away to reserve your energy. When you practice peace, you are met with peace and avoid terrible circumstances.
So in most situations, we have to be able to walk away. In most situations, now sometimes you got to teach somebody else's demon a lesson. Like if somebody cross the line, okay, that person's demon inside of them must need to learn a lesson so they can get the understanding that they need to get.
We're not telling you to be nobody's doormat.
Like, it's still about being a warrior, but it's about how to be a true warrior, a full, complete warrior. Like the example was saying, you don't want to go into, like, if I got beef with somebody and that person is out here and about, I want to be at peace about it. I want to be at peace about it because it's going to tap me into more. It's going to tap me into creativity. It's going to show me more of how to truly move just different things that it'll show me. But if I'm in raw anger, I'm just going to grab the gun in the car riding around trying to find somebody.
Look,
and then in a lot of cases, it's going to be me that falls into the trap because I'm not thinking right. I'm not thinking fully in the situation. I'm just caught up in the emotion. And so when a person is, what one of these slides was talking about, when a person is just caught up in the emotions, the higher facility of the brain, you are not tapping into that. And I'm gonna have to do a class on the different 4 levels of the brain. Like the most primitive aspect of our brain is the reptilian aspect of who it is that we are. When we just act like an animal, no divine thought. We just react. But we deal with the human being is supposed to be tapped into that higher level of the brain, the cerebral, the frontal lobe, I think it's called. But in most cases, we live a life that we very rarely tap into that level of thinking because we just respond like animals. And this is what we have to get out of because we've been reduced down to live as animals because of our experience. Like, yo, we used to be held in cages, just like you see the cows and whatever. We walk around and we see these. That was us. We was living in that exact same way. We was reduced down to behaving like animals.
And so we have to reprogram
ourselves. Family.
One of the things, and one of the things that I appreciate about the way we teach is the authenticity. This is something that I deal with. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I always have to be aware of about myself. And so one of the things that has been revealed to me is not making emotional decisions. Allowing myself the space to get completely calmed down before I start making decisions about whatever the situation may occur, because I'm not thinking properly when I'm in the midst of anger.
Right. And I know this is one of the major reasons why Osuntola met me, because I know I brought a lot of peace into her life. But and the reason that I met her is because I need to feel more. I was too at peace. Like, you need to feel something. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, like, allowed us to balance each other out in a beautiful way. You know what I'm saying? Inside of ourselves, like the lessons that she came to teach me and I came to teach her, but we had to learn these things as individuals inside of ourselves.
The second demon is greed, conquered by generosity. The demon of greed afflicts us when we fail to complete our initiation into manhood and womanhood. With the arrival of puberty, we are in the position of no longer simply taking from others, but to give as well.
Right.
In tribal societies, the rights of manhood and womanhood marked the time when a young person took up hunting or planting and gathering and started to contribute to supporting the family. Although this initiation is associated with coming of age, we experience it every time we doubt our ability to provide emotional or financial support for our loved ones. When you doubt that you will be provided for by the universe, you start to believe that the world is plagued by scarcity. Then it's natural to react by trying to take what you need before someone else has a chance to get it, and hoarding whatever you have. Doubting the generosity of the universe is the essence of greed. In the predatory world, trespasses and penalties are carefully weighed, and the score is mentally noted for future reference. The power you need for the challenges you will face in life does not come from you currying favor with the powerful or hoarding material things. What you need is spiritual power you acquire through the practice of generosity. We tell ourselves greed is necessary because this is not enough to go around. When we're in a greedy mind state, we may recognize that planting, teaching, healing, and helping others are noble, but won't make time for them unless we can see the big payoff or receive credit for our charitable behavior.
Well, let me say this though, because we always have to separate our experience as a people. We was born into scarcity. A lot of us was born in situations where we didn't have nothing. We was born into poverty. So the mindset was, I got to get out here and get it by any means necessary. We was born into that. You know what I mean? So we always have to put our story, have to run our story through us. You know what I mean? As we face life, because these are the things that, okay, we were born in these kind of conditions, but these are still the things that we have to face in our life. And this is why Osuntola, when she mentioned like, yo, we the chosen ones, because most of our family or the people around us ain't thinking about this from this kind of depth of understanding of why our lives continue to be plagued, why it seems like we can't break free, why it seems like we're caught up in this perpetual cycle of the same things happening over and over in our life, because no one has stopped to face these things inside of themselves. And we know as within, so without. And so when we are able to face these things inside of ourselves, we begin to see how it changes our external reality. But the warrior, only a warrior is going to face that. And this is why we know that we are all warriors. We have to, the Bible say we are all soldiers in God's eyes. We are all soldiers. So we have to face this within within ourselves. And this is what plays the greatest part of healing the bloodline of those that came before us, of those that didn't have the opportunity to face it in the way that we have been given right now because of the conditions that they had to survive it. I can't remember. I don't know about what it felt like waking up on a slave plantation every day. I wasn't thinking about beyond the universe in most cases. I was thinking about what I might have to deal with in that day. But here we are now. We have the opportunity. And we have to take full advantage of it for those within our bloodline that didn't get that.
Yo, let's just take an example that happened recently. Y'all remember when the gas shortage hit?
Yeah, they remember.
Y'all remember when people were bringing bags? They were bringing like all sorts of contraptions. I've never seen so many contraptions people were using when they thought there was a gas shortage that was happening. People were really about themselves. Remember when COVID hit and everyone ran to the store and took all the food? You know what I'm saying? Hoarding it, not worried about what the next person needs. may need, but let me just take as much as I can for myself and my family. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are the things, like, we can, one of the things Conjure said way back in the first, one of the first classes when we were talking about chakras and meditations is being able to see these conditions, the level, the state of where somebody is living in the chakra system. You see what I'm saying? Like, we can see where you're living based off of how you react. You know what I'm saying? And greed, we see that in our society. We see how they start doing certain things in order to trigger those things in us.
Yeah, because how many of us really understand to trust the universe? Like, how many truly understand that the universe has our best interest and heart? Like, how many people live from that place of understanding? Because that is one of the foundations of greed. Like, no one is going to take care of me. Like, if I don't do it in this kind of way, it's not going to get done. If I don't get out here and step on who I got to step on, or treat people however I got to treat them, or manipulate people in whatever ways I have, I feel like I need to manipulate them, then it's not going to get done. Like, how many people live from that place? How many people is trusting in the universe? We sound weird to people. Like, what? You trusting in the universe? Like, what is you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But this is who we are. Like, we are the manifestations of the new beings, This is who we are, the new being.
And then in addition to that, not only are we, one of the things that we do is like, okay, I did such and such for Conjure, so now I'm gonna mentally note that because he owes me.
Right.
He owes me now. You know what I'm saying? And so because he owes me, I'm going to keep a mental tab so that when the time comes, I can go get what is rightfully, quote unquote, mine. Right. Instead of just giving from the heart.
Right. Instead of giving from the abundance of the universe.
And you know what? Mother Nature never asked for shit.
And understand that the universe can pay you back in many different ways.
Mother Nature don't ask us to make sure that the grass, that water is on the ground. Right. She don't ask us to make sure that this happens or that.
Generosity.
We're not giving. We know that the sun is coming out every day.
Right. We know that and give us life.
That's the way the universe works. And so if we can really hold that state of understanding within ourselves that the universe will provide, then we're less likely to be conquered by the demon of greed.
And you know what I mean? And so the universe is giving all of these things to us and asking us like, yo, you see all the things that I'm giving you and you still don't trust me?
Right.
You still don't trust the universe? After all that you see that I am providing for your very existence, you don't trust this. And this is the very reason you are here, that you exist. And I'm showing up every day and you still don't trust in my abundance to sustain you when I sustain every living thing in existence. You think I have forgot about you?
Come on now. What we have to do is tap into the angel of generosity.
Come on, family.
Greed can only be remedied. Greed can only be remedied by its opposite, generosity. When we find the courage to be generous, when we know that if there seems to be a shortage of something in our lives, whether it's money, love, or time, it's our perception that is flawed. Right. Giving generously is easy when we recognize that giving doesn't deplete us. In fact, giving to others can actually make us feel rich. The more we give ourselves, especially of what is valuable to us, the more the universe provides for us.
That sacrifice.
Greed is tricky. It will latch on to you again if you make too much of your generosity. Aren't I a fantastic person for making this huge contribution? Give anonymously without the expectation of credit, and you won't feed this demon. Give of yourself, your time, your compassion without any ulterior motive. We don't have to live in a world of competition, accumulation, and scorekeeping. The shaman balances between giving and receiving. She does not exhaust herself trying to be all things to all people in order to win their approval. She does not go on a rampage trying to bully or cajole or use people in order to get ahead in this competitive world. Being generous allows us to take care of ourselves while at the same time assisting others. We no longer narcissistically insist the world meets our needs. We undergo this initiation and become fully men and women many times during our lives. Banishing the demon of greed, we find balance between giving and taking. We give what we can and take only what we need from our loved ones in our community and from the earth.
Right. What did it say? It's, it's really like, let's look at this, because we all know that we're here with the universe and we all know that we're here with nature. We know that earth, air, fire, and water sustains our life, but we are lost in a system thinking that system is what sustains our life. Think about that.
If the
Does
system
this
say no,
system sustains our being, our existence? Like, can the system take place, these material things take place of the water that sustains us, or the fresh air that we breathe? The universe sustains us, is all I'm saying, family. Like, isn't that correct? Isn't that correct? The universe provides us all that we need. But the issue is that it's a people on planet Earth trying to hoard everything. It's a people on planet Earth that's greedy. That's greedy. Like, that's what the issue is, because they feel like if they don't hoard these things and they don't live life in a greedy way, then they're not going to be sustained. But that's not our mind state. That's not our spirit. That's not our ancestral wisdom. Our ancestors worship deities like the Orisha or the Neteru, which is only the forces of nature that they knew sustain their lives. And this is the mind state that we have to get back into. This universe take care of us, because as long as we are thinking that things take care of us, then we're going to find ourselves in scarcity, because when we don't have an abundance of something that we feel like we should have, we're going to, adapt the vibration of lacking. And that's going to attract more of that into our life, because we feel like we don't have an abundance of a thing. And how that changes our own personal vibration, and it causes us to lose sight of what truly sustains our life, and that we are born abundant. Like, this universe lacks nothing. If this universe lacked anything, existence wouldn't be. It's because the universe lacks nothing that we are here right now with the universe. And so it's a certain vibration, it's a certain energy that we have to connect to ensure that we are not ever lacking, that we always have the things that we truly need, not the things that we covet, but the things that we truly need.
One of the things that
it's a difference.
One of the things that happen, right? Like, when we usually when we have events, right, or when we have retreats, you'll see a whole bunch of healers coming together that have these different faculties, right? And a lot of times when they come into these environments, they come in offering their services at an extreme discounted rate because of their generosity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so when they said, one of the things that stuck out to me the most is the more we give of ourselves, especially the things that we value the most, the universe provides. So a lot of times when we're out here doing things, and I'm doing, like, I might give this somebody to this person, or I might do a session for that person, or I might do a reading for this person pro bono, because I already know that's being put in my spiritual bank account. You know what I'm saying? Like, the universe will provide me. I'm not looking for you to give me back what I've offered to you. I'm looking for the universe to do it, because the universe provides it.
And let me just say this, and this is a personal thing to me and Osuntola's life. This class right here, this particular group right here, we gave y'all this class for pretty much nothing. This is a $1,200. We always ran this as a $1,200 course. We gave this to y'all for pretty much nothing. Like, this course is not sustaining our life. Like, we're not here because all of this money is coming in. We're not here from this reason. We're not teaching with such passion because of what we feel like y'all are going to give us back materially. Like, we ain't even doing it from that place. I want y'all to see and understand that. I don't know if y'all know that me and Osuntola ain't pretty much making nothing from this class, but we still try to show up in a certain vibration and a certain energy. Even though we are faced with our own challenges in our own life, we still dealing with these demons too. And we still try to show up. Like, this ain't no big payoff for us.
One of the things,
it's not.
One of the things that, people always say is, do things that you are passionate about, right? Do things that you would do for free. And that's the energy that we move in as much as possible, is being able to do, like, this is what's most valuable to us. For you to know yourself, for you to heal yourself is what's most valuable to us. And the reason why it's so valuable to us is because of how it has affected our own lives. Like, I don't even want to, like, trust and believe, regardless of what he just said about what the course used to be and everything like that, that's outside of my line of thinking right now. because in actuality, y'all's transformation is my gift.
Right.
That's why we are so invested. That's why you'll notice, like, I don't see you here. Everything okay? Let me see what's going on. Let me make sure you know the class is here. Like, I try to stay on those things all the time because y'all's gift to me is in this transformation. The fact that you are still here, that's our gift.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
we understand that the universe is taking note of this. It's taking note of all of this. Like, our trust is in the universe, yo. Our trust is in the universe.
Whew, this is an
Our
emotional class.
Our ancestors, because this year right here was a shock. Like, me and Osuntola in our personal life, the year 22, like, yo, it came to teach us some real shit. Excuse my language. Like, this has been, I don't know, you know, I'm giving it the title of, like, maybe the most challenging year that we have had thus far. Like, I know when me and Osuntola journey together, like, this has been the most challenging year that we have faced in pretty much all areas. But like I say, this was also the year of me and Osuntola initiation as well. And we understand that y'all are going through the same things because we are reflections of one another. We just want y'all to understand as much as we can what we are going through together.
Yes.
Initiation.
Whew. The third demon is lust, conquered by purity. The demon of lust appears when we fail to complete the initiation of first love. In the age of sexual freedom, lust as a sin is often perceived to be quaint and a ridiculous notion. Yet experience shows that looking at others as sexual objects with lust in your heart can consume you. We talk about the value of having lust for life and living richly and sensually, but that is not lust, it's passion. Hold on, y'all. It's passion and energizing force. Lust is a hopeless desire for someone or something you feel like you can't have or don't deserve. It makes you feel deprived because you've never met the person who can live up to your fantasies or afford the house that can live up to your expectations. When in lust, what a person desires most is not a union of equals, but power in a relationship. Right. Surrendering to love is terrifying to those who crave control. Lust is not confined to sexual desire. We can lust after power and turn into an alpha male queen bee, seducing and manipulating others into giving us what we want. Lust causes us to barter sex or something else of value for approval, admiration, or security. Inevitably, we attract our predators who pretend to be bedazzled by us, but are just as needy and devious as we are. Uninitiated lovers only experience sex carnally, and their minds create false beliefs about real intimacy. In the sea of emotions, they will attach all their recreational sex partners to the beginning of a deep relationship with a soulmate. They are unaware of this behavior. They never experience true intimacy, nor are they able to step back and free themselves from the object of their affection. When someone resists the call of love and the surrender of true union, his interactions, whether friendship, family, relationships, or business partnerships, are all centered on what's in it for me.
Listen, like I said, like, let's run this through our blood right quick so we can see it through the eyes that we supposed, like, so we can understand ourselves more. Like, most of us was born in poverty all out through the world, but we had to live in a society where, even though we was in poverty, all of these people living the lavish life all around us. Like, this, you know what I mean? This, European, or like, all of this abundance all around us. But here we are in this poverty where we don't have anything, what puts us in a place of lusting after certain things. Like, we have to understand, like, our condition, and like, and why we are the way we are, like, why we have to face the things that we have to face, or why we experience the things that we have experienced in our life, because we still have to face the demon of lust. We were just put in an environment, a project, that these things will run rampant within that environment or in that project, that we'll be plagued by this demon of lusting after something. Because how many of our people are dead from lusting? How many of our families are broken up from lusting? Like, the way that this has impact us and our experience as a people. But it was intentional. though. It was like, yeah, we suffer from these things in a great way. Like our people suffer from these things in a great way. Somebody born in a family of millions of dollars and just living a luxury life. Like it's certain things that they don't lust for, that, you know, certain demons that they ain't, you know what I mean, dealing with in their journey that we were forced to deal with as a people.
It's
Because
interesting.
of what we didn't have.
It's interesting too. What you'll see is even those people that you think are so much grander to you are not truly happy.
Right.
So
Still not truly
the
happy.
truth be told is that you can still find lust even in the rich and famous.
Right.
Because they're not happy most
And
of the
they
time.
ain't facing these demons.
And they're not facing these demons.
Right.
That's why we can see politicians, like so many times politicians getting exposed for having prostitutes and things of that nature, or doing drugs, because they're still lusting for something that they don't have within themselves. You know what I'm saying? This desire is, and we can see even through the media how they are conditioning us constantly to lust after something. I want money like that person. I want to look like that person. Let me go get this Brazilian butt lift so my butt can be big. Like yo, we can see it throughout society.
Blind hat, you know what I'm saying? But and then also, you know, like the struggle that we have had in order to love ourselves, because we was always told that we was the most, you know what I mean, ratchet thing on earth. You know what I mean? Like when you look at our ancestors and, you know what I'm saying, and the things they had to endure, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like it's a journey to come to that place where you can genuinely say, I love myself.
And I do want to
I love myself.
And I do want to just share this, right? So when I met him, I was not in a place of looking for love. Let me just make sure I'm clear. I was not in that place.
She was trying to run me off.
Hard as possible. Like, no. This is crazy. I had to surrender to it.
Right.
I had to surrender to this being different from what I had experienced in the past. I had to surrender to the idea that this could be something that I never experienced before. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's not an easy thing to relinquish control. You know what I'm saying? But in truth, this has been my most fulfilling relationship. You know what I'm saying? But it came from that place of being open and trusting of myself that I could deal with whatever would come from it, and relinquishing that control and surrendering to love.
And then also the experiences that that she had experienced prior, because, you know, remember, a lot of these things come from the reason why we can't escape a lot of these things is because of the story that we tell ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, no, this can't be nothing different because such and such and such and such did that. You know what I mean? So how can this be different?
Y'all? You know what I'm saying?
But the stories, if we're not able to release the stories that will continue to plague us, the stories that we feel like we deserve to hold on to, which is only saying like, I deserve to hold on to my pain. I deserve to hold on to it.
Instead of being like, I deserve to have something new and better.
Or to be free from it. This is what we truly deserve but that can't happen until we learn the lesson of why something happened in our life. And this is why these things come to teach us something. These are the 7 initiations.
I'm so glad I passed that one, y'all. I'm so thankful.
Okay, and me too. Because it was a challenge for me as well, because like the women that I had in my life up to Osuntola was always a wild one. Like, I don't know, like I always attracted that in my life. You know what I mean? But when I met Osuntola, if I would have stayed in that energy of like, yo, because the way that she presented herself was wild. You know what I mean? As wild. But if I would allow the stories of my past relationships to change what I knew Spirit was revealing to me about her, then it wouldn't be what it is right now. But I had to release the stories that came before Osuntola. She had to release the stories that came before me. So we have to be able to do that in order to have a new experience, because this is a new experience for both of us. That would have never happened if we wasn't able to release.
And so how do we release? Angel of purity of intent. When you are initiated into love, your relationships are about discovery of openness and not exploitation. Our culture teaches us that we have to market ourselves like products in order to attract a partner we desire. hoping to bag a partner and win over others. We will boast, preen, shake a tail feather, or display our bodies with an air of nonchalance. But it is our purity of intent that attracts emotionally healthy partners. To practice purity of intent is to have a willingness to trust and to enter a partnership with truthfulness and curiosity. Creativity, power thrives within us, and we sincerely engage in our interactions and explorations, not when we are trying to seduce or micromanage them. If we practice purity, we're able to stop worrying about how we look and how we are performing, and whether others think we're lovable, desirable, or powerful. We can discover that unknown potential of a relationship, whether sexual, romantic, social, or business situations. We are no longer a tiger on the prowl searching for a mate in order to spread its seed and ensure the survival of the dreams. Instead, we become virginal, looking through the eyes of the soul instead of the eyes of the hunter. This purifies our interactions from taint to trust. If we do not successfully undergo initiation that love offers us again and again, we resist taking risks, hold fast to our need to control, and focus on gaining power over others. Then we wear ourselves out, trying to seduce everyone in sight in vain, hoping of fulfilling the void of self-esteem. If we are a man, woman who has fully surrendered to the mysteries of love, we are ready to forge a healthy adult relationships. We no longer struggle with self-worth and are ready to create partnerships, bringing forth children or creative projects and contributing to the community.
That's deep. That's deep. So I know that was a lot.
I mean, you know, but at the end of the day, like, we can see how we do that though, right? We can see how we do that in all of our relationships. It's not even just about romantic relationships. How are we seducing people to be our friends? How are we seducing people to come into business with us? How are we seducing people to do things that we want them to do? Or how are we not showing up with pure intent, the purity of intent? I'm just here to get to know you. I just really want to see who you are, what you are about. I just want to operate with you from a place of honesty that I'm operating from. This is what causes intimacy to really truly emerge, but we don't understand what true intimacy is. You know what I'm saying? And so as we operate more in the angel of purity of intent, we start to attract healthy partnerships. We start to attract healthy relationships. You know what I'm saying? With no agendas. You know what I'm saying? We let those agendas go for the experience of the love that can be experienced between.
You broke that down well.
Thank you, baby. You taught me so well. And let me just say this too, when it comes down to that, those virginal eyes, right? So many times we think like our first experiences have tainted us in some way. But in actuality, and I wanted to make sure I said this, for me personally, it's because I know and I recognize that he's on his own healing journey, and that he takes his healing journey seriously, and that I take my healing journey seriously. It helps me to see things with virginal eyes from the place of my soul, from the place of my spirit. It helps me to see things purely in interacting with people I do not know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many of you have a story about how y'all felt when y'all met me. You know what I'm saying? And the things that y'all have expressed to me on our journey with each other. You know what I'm saying? And and you don't know how many different people apologize so many different times because of how they're feeling. And so many times you'll hear me say, I understand, sis. It's okay, sis. Let's just get through it, sis. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Not even really taking it personally, because my intention towards you. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what my intention is towards you, regardless of if you understand what your intention is towards me. And so many times you'll hear us talk about how when we show up in your life, we already know what we're here to do. You know what I'm saying? So our intention is already set when we meet you. You know what I'm saying? Because we understand the journey that you must be on to even be attracted to us to begin with. It's a beautiful thing, love. Love is such a beautiful thing. It's really all that exists in the universe is love. Even if we were not here, love would still exist. You know what I'm saying? Love is the ultimate thing behind all of this.
God is love.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if we can just tap into that purity of love, like what happened at the beginning of this class today was people tapping into the purity of love, the purity of intent. You see what I'm saying? Like these opportunities to show your angels are always present. these opportunities to tap into that angel, because y'all could have been like, that don't have nothing to do with me. Good luck, sis. You know what I'm saying? But y'all didn't do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what love does. That's what love does, yo. And I didn't want to just not give love the attention that love needs, because all of these demons that we're talking about can be
all of them
balanced.
All of them combined, like you say, balance. This is what gives birth. This is what gives birth to love.
Telling you.
This is what gives birth to it.
Whew. Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Because how many people dress a certain kind of way or pretend to be a certain kind of way to try to possess something or have access to something. Like, that's the intent. You know what I mean? Like, versus just having a pure experience with a person or a situation, or like with no you know what I mean, like a personal agenda attached to it. You know what I'm saying? But showing up in pure intent that the experience is going to be exactly what it's supposed to be, because everyone you meet, you know what I mean, you can have a good time with someone, but that don't mean that's the one you're supposed to have sex with, or the one that's supposed to be your companion, or just, you know what I mean? Just things like that, you know what I mean? Like the purity of your intent with someone else, like what should always come from like being genuine, like love, like what Osuntola is saying.
Yes.
That higher vibration of intent. When we come out into the world, we come out into the world displaying and behaving in a way that shows that we love ourselves, and just through putting that energy out from that intentional place that you're going through your day in is going to attract to you that which is yours, instead of us feeling like that we got to come out here and manipulate in some kind of way to or deceive in some kind of way to get the things that we want, but not what's truly for us. Go ahead.
And one of the things that, over the course of this session, we have seen more people drop out of this session than we've seen in any other session that we've done. And one of the things that we had to sit with was, you're not ready for this. Yeah. You don't feel the purity of our intent. You know what I'm saying? You have things going on in your own personal life that you still have to work through in order to be able to take the fullness, you know what I'm saying, of what is being offered. So understanding that even though your intent may be pure, everybody may not be ready for the purity that you come to bring. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Understanding everybody else's intentions is not pure with you. So that way they can help us to avoid being manipulated in a lot of ways that we get manipulated in, thinking that someone else's intentions is pure about you. Everyone's intention is not pure about you. And we have to understand that as well.
The fourth demon is sloth, conquered by courage. Sloth rears its ugly head when we stop growing and learning, and then life comes and takes away everything we took for granted. To rest on your laurels means to rely on your past victories and make no further effort. Our laurels are everything in our lives that is beautiful and refined, and that we inevitably destroy if we succumb to sloth, such as failure to use our talents, the refusal to work hard, ignoring or neglecting obligations, and emotional laziness. Every relationship or partnership involves a give and take, surrender, and negotiation, but we often find it difficult to do hard work and sacrifice for the good of all who are involved. Maybe if I could just explain it differently, they'll understand and see that I'm right. When we expend a great deal of energy, we expend a great deal of energy when we try to get others to go along with our plans, but in reality, we're being emotionally slothful and lazy. The fourth initiation is the rite of marriage. This is the initiation we face when we are invited to commit deeply to another person, partnership, venture, or cause. When we do not succeed with the fourth initiation, we expect our romantic partners to meet our every need, be the first one to say, I'm sorry, and we expect others we interact with to meet us far more than halfway. We give into selfish habits, tallying up who gave more or suffered more, and strategize about how to win every argument rather than trying to create a union that transcends the party's personal agenda. Subsequently, we become ambivalent, wondering if the partnership is even worth the hard work. The attitude will suck the energy right out of you and doom your partnerships with others, and your ability to serve any cause, no matter how strongly you believe in it or how loudly you expose it. Nostalgia sets in to distract you. You flee the responsibility of working things out for fear it can't be fixed. Slothfulness keeps you on autopilot. Even when you are very busy, you accomplish little of substance. You seem to muster up the impetuous to transform. You wish someone would wave a magic wand and fix it all for you. We allow ourselves to be drained by sorrow and disappointment and become too sluggish or too enamored of our own ideas to explore anything new. We are incurious and let life happen to us or pass us by. Despite our insistence that we'd like to move forward, we remain stuck because we allowed our creativity and our passion to leach out of us. Making empty promises and indulging in avoiding behaviors that distract you from what you really should be doing is slothful, even if doing so keeps you occupied.
So like, I know that was a lot, but like in a nutshell, like a lot of us suffer from thinking that something is owed to us, or thinking that our life is should be a certain kind of way, but we're not willing to put the work in. Like that goes into healing. Like, yo, you know what I mean? Like healing can call for a certain effort, but you don't give, you know, like it the effort that it deserves. Like you don't put the energy into it. But you feel like you deserve these things. Like you feel like some kind of magic wand should be waved and then all things are well for you in your life. And it don't work like that. We have to put the energy, we have to put the effort into these different situations that we find ourselves and like in life, because we're not owed anything. We're not owed anything. Life is always going to be a reflection. The Bible says if a man don't work, he don't eat. You know what I mean? And that shows up in many different scenarios. You know what I mean? That if you don't put the work in, then you can't expect the reward. Like we can't be slothful. We can't just lay around and not tap into creativity, but thinking an idea is just gonna, like, you know what I mean, be presented to you in some kind of way when you ain't even putting like your creative juices into nothing. You know what I mean? Just the different things that require energy for certain things to happen in our life, for us to overcome certain things in our life, for us to heal in certain ways in our life, or just laying around, you know what I mean, somewhere sad, somewhere just waiting for a miracle to happen in your life. But for that miracle to happen, it's gonna come from the work that we put in. For that thing that we look at as a miracle to happen for us in our life is gonna call for work.
I want to again, just talking from experience. So this is the last time we will be teaching Etheric Touch live, and because of situations that have happened in our lives, we are not able to continue in the ways that we have. And so for a while, just being completely transparent, I was angry about the fact that I had to start over again. Right. Like I already have put so much effort. I've already done so many things. I've really learned a lot about business, about relationships, about teaching. Like, you know, I had set up things so that there was many ways for income to come in, you know, for people to get what it is that they needed. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, without any knowledge of my own, I recognized and realized that we can't continue to do things in the ways that we have. And it took some time.
Start all over again.
And it took some time for me to get out that. But even in relationship, right? So how many times are we in okay relationships, but we're not getting our way? And so we think that because we're not getting our way, it's not worth the effort to put in the work that is needed to heal the relationship. And so we just walk away from it instead of actually trying to put it in with no personal agendas. Like both people have to come into it with no personal agendas, but also we can't be lazy about it. Like love is an action word. Love is an action word. And so that means what is it that I can do to feed this versus I'm going to wait for you to feed this.
And this is just not talking about a person, like how
relationships,
many things
business,
like how many things that we have lost love for, you know what I mean? Or you know what I'm saying? Like talent that you might have, like it's just, and you don't put the energy, you don't got the connection, you don't got the bond, you're not communicating, you're not in the relationship with that talent in the right kind of way. You know what I mean? So you don't get what you need from it. Like it just shows up in all different, so many different aspects of life. You know what I mean? The work that has to be, the effort that has to be put into something, like in a relationship, like me and Osuntola, like if we didn't put the work in, because this has been a work. it still is a work. Like this ain't nothing we just laying around and not putting no energy into. You know what I mean? Like this is a constant cultivation within this relationship. And so we have to be, both of us have to remain willing, because the moment that one of us is not willing, then the relationship is going to be destroyed.
Yeah, it starts to fall.
It's going to start to fall. It's going to start to deteriorate. So we both have to remain willing to put the individual work in. So this relationship can be what it's always going to be, because we always going to put the work in. Like this right here is everlasting. You know what I mean? So, but it comes with a work though.
Yeah. The angel of courage.
6 of them too. It's already 3 o'clock.
Is it 3?
2:56.
Again, let me just say I'm going to have the recording of this. So if you have to go, then that is fine.
Or then maybe they want to do the next 6 in the next class.
6. We're on courage. That was 4. So the next 3.
Okay, it's 7.
If you want us to keep going, let us know. If you want to do the next 3 in the next class, let us know. I'm going to keep going though, for courage anyway. The angel of courage. Courage, the remedy of sloth, means following through on your finest ideas and having the courage to answer the call of your soul. Right. It means discarding the selfish need to get someone to fashion a partnership, project, or situation that will make you feel fulfilled and energized, and investing the enthusiasm and creativity into yourself. Courage means you are willingly engaged in negotiations and conversations that foster intimacy, doing what needs to be done without pouting or spinning a story of how you deserve a better life or a better partnership stops you from being sucked dry from sloth. Right. Courage is associated with marriage because a strong partnership requires perseverance and dedication, even in the darkest moments. Right. The word courage comes from the Latin meaning action of heart. Many traditions recognize the mystical phenomenon of marriage with the divine, an inner relationship that requires great courage as you are called to leave all the worldly things behind. Many practitioners who have followed the path for many years experience the dark night of the soul, which manifests as doubts and reflection. During the moments of bewilderment, courage is most needed to help us make our way through the other side with renewed faith and dedication to the path. The sacred marriage in alchemy symbolizes a reconciling of opposites with the personality by the means of making internal conflicts conscious and integrating them into a harmonized sense of self, inner, masculine, and feminine. Right. When these apparent opposites are integrated, one's false ego falls away and one unites with the divine. This requires great daring and courageous action. When you are courageous, you banish the demons of slothfulness. You stop making excuses, cease exploring the origin of your discomfort with intimacy, and bravely say what you know is in your heart that needs to be said. Courage results in tranquility without inertia and action without wasteful effort. If we are fully submitted to the initiation of marriage and partnership, you are willing to work cooperatively with others and with the universe. Instead of lazily moving through life, you are able to answer the calling, and you will become willing to break the molds of emotional cowardice and trying something genuinely new. To arouse the healing, vitalizing force of courage, you need to participate mindfully in mundane events, focusing on what you can do in this moment rather than sitting back and scripting yet another story that begins with, if I only. You will choose to make the change instead of remaining in the status quo, allowing your energy to seep out. You will choose to explore who you are, your relationships with others, and life itself.
And this goes back into the fact that we're talking about the 7 demons, but we're talking about the 7 angels as well. And what this saying is that what this is talking about is the alchemical marriage, how the two must become one. The demons and the angel must become one. And what does they say? What do they say happens because of that? Love is born. Love is born. But first, it's explaining that how we have to face these things within ourselves, which gives birth to a self-love. We have to face these demons within inside of ourselves. We have to invoke these angels inside of ourselves, and we have to allow them to merge so we can come into the true nature of who it is that we are truly. So this is why this is something that we can't run from. And this is why it talks about these things being programmed into us. so that we can't run from them, that we all have to face them. It's a part of who we are, but by facing them, we give birth to the opposing side of it, the angel side of it. And then these two things can come together inside of us, and this love making, this intertwining on the inside of us, which then gives birth to our true nature or our true self through the love making of the two. This is why Osuntola always speaks about this is an eternal love affair, which gives birth to our new self or our higher self. But we have to allow both of these. Okay. We got children, so.
Gotta go get him some medicine.
Yeah. But this is what this is talking about, like the two becoming one, God and the devil becoming one, which gives birth to our true self. Hold on, y'all give Osuntola a minute. She wanted to
One of the things that I also wanted to say is, how many times have you heard me say that I'm so proud of you? The demon of slothfulness hit for you to take this class. Something within you said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want my life to be this way anymore. That was the calling of your soul. And so it took courage to be able to walk down this path, to confront yourself, to take responsibility and accountability for your own inner work. That's the courage that we're talking about. And so if you can have the courage to stand up and face yourself, you have the courage to encounter any situation. You have the power to get through anything, right? All these so-called tumultuous situations that we are enduring. All these tumultuous situations, I apologize, my son is not feeling good. All of these tumultuous situations that we encounter, because we are going through this journey right now in our lives, we know that we are able to confront whatever the universe places in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And so understanding and in that process, in the process of this journey that we're on, we are already coming together, committing to deeply the inner masculine and feminine within ourselves. Those two are having this beautiful dance going on within ourselves, okay? And because these two are having this inner dance within ourselves, and we are able to act from a place of the divinity that lives within ourselves, we are able to face whatever may come. This is the warriorship that you're talking about. When you're in a situation where you have to be brave to confront something, when you're in a situation where you have to be daring, let me just take it back. So here we are, and I'm finding out that now, I can't do things the way I used to do, that I have been working hard to create over the last however many years. And I'm, oh, woe is me. And then suddenly it was like, no, the universe is just asking you to do things differently now. The universe is just asking you to do something new now. And are you too afraid to try again? Are you too afraid to stand up again and do it in a completely different way? I'm not afraid of shit. I'm not a punk. You know what I'm saying? That's not who I am. But I had to go within myself to rectify that self before I could even begin the process of recreating. And now that creation is being rebirthed. And so now I have another child to take care of. I have something new, a new way of expressing who it is that I am now that I was not when I began Etheric Touch. You know what I'm saying? It gives us an opportunity to recreate ourselves. And so I'm just so proud of you. And I often say, be proud of yourself for feeling the bravery, the courage to heed the call of your soul. It's not an easy walk, but you are doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going to keep going. He's helping my son, but I'm going to be doing. Oh, before I keep going, did y'all want to keep going, or do you want to do the rest later? Let me know. We have 3 more to go, 2 more to go. We're on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 3 more to go. It's up to you.
Y'all let us know, because it's already 3.
Mocha said keep going.
Okay, let's see what everybody else.
Everybody's thumbs up. Look, I love y'all. Y'all be like, nah, we here now. Let's get this. The fifth demon, the fifth demon is envy, and it's conquered by compassion for oneself and others. The fifth,
Can I say something right quick?
Mhm.
You know, we just came off of sloth. I just want to go back to how that affects us as a people, because in the environments, the kind of environments that, you know, we was forced to live in, sloth was able to set into us deeply, you know what I mean? Because we felt like it won't no need to come out here and do certain things. There ain't no need to go out there and try to get no job. I know you ain't they ain't ready to give me no job. You know what I mean? Just the environments and the condition that we had to live through as a people, even back to them, you know what I mean, like slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it ain't no need for me to think I'm getting ready to be able to, you know, go through my day the way that I'm like, and the way that I want to, because like we knew that wasn't getting ready to happen. We felt like it won't no need to even try. Like we've been conditioned as a people to feel like it was no need to even try. And this is what has been passed down to us. And it has been plaguing our lives. It has been plaguing our lives like as a people. But we have to understand the intention that was put behind us to be the kind of people that we have been thus far, because that's changing. We waking up. You know what I mean? Like we have been, like this has been a program, this has been a system to ensure that we suffer from these demons, that we suffer from these demons. And look how, like, yo, me and Osuntola some nights be sitting back watching Iyanla.
That's my show,
You know what I mean? Fix My Life. Like, I'm pretty sure y'all familiar with that. But do y'all see the kind of conditions that our babies, our children, the parents have been born in? That, you know what I mean? That has plagued our life. Like, yo, it's in us. It's in us, but understanding the intention that ensured that we will be suffering from these things, from these demons. But these are the things that we still have to face. We are the ones, we are the chosen ones. We are the saviors of our bloodline. We are the warriors, the true warriors that's taking on the true fight within our bloodline. We are like, we have all been called for this work. Everyone on this line has been called for this work. You know what I'm saying? But this is what's going to change everything. Not just for our own personal life. Like we say, this is the bloodline. Like this is for the ones that wasn't able to take this kind of stand or even have the time to deal with our own personal selves, like in the ways that we have now.
It's not even a time. Most of us are not even
like most of us didn't have the time.
Most of us don't even have the understanding. You know what I'm saying? Most of us don't even have the peace, Jamar. Most of us don't even have the consciousness within ourselves to understand that these are the things that we have to confront within ourselves. Like, and so we accept what has been given to us because we don't recognize.
Remember, like our people perish for a lack of understanding. And this is what we're healing ourselves from. Like when we understand that, like they say, even death itself, like what we look at as death itself is only a disease. It only comes from a lack of understanding that we don't have.
Yes.
And so like the cure is the understanding of why we are going through the things that we are going through in our own personal life, but then expanding that to see your bloodline, to see our people, to see our journey, to see the intent that was placed upon us to reduce us down to where we are right now. So we can understand the true fights.
Yes. The fifth demon is envy, compassion for oneself and others. The fifth demon of envy is feeling jealousy of others and coveting what they have. Envy is rooted in what psychologists call projection. We project the positive aspect of our shadow or our unconscious personality onto somebody else and think, if I could only have his or her success. This envy allows others to feed off your insecurity and desire to be important, admired, or powerful. We tend to glamorize envy because we think it will inspire us to work harder and achieve more. Commercials entice us with overhyped products that promise to make us more viral or gorgeous and transform us into that which we envy. We're envious of someone else because we think they have found the magic key to fulfillment. Then we look for that person's formula for living and try to adopt it as our own, regardless of whether he is truly happy and at peace with himself.
Becoming someone that we're not.
And without considering whether his formula will work for us. Whenever we are in the grip of the demon of envy, we follow the footsteps of lost and confused and wander about, leading diminishing lives. We follow along after those we envy, blinding ourselves to our own talent and passions, thus hating, feeling disappointment and trapped by the things we envy. It's behind the bed. The cord is long. You might want to walk on the other side. You're not gonna be able to pull it that way.
Was it alright?
But it's not gonna reach.
Okay, so I'll just go get it.
Let me read that again. Whenever we're in the grip of the demon whenever we are in the grip of the demon of envy, we follow the footsteps of the lost and confused and wander about, leading diminishing lives. We follow along after those we envy, blinding ourselves to our own talent and passions, thus hating, feeling disappointed and trapped by the things that we envy. Right there. Envy happens early when our parents fail at the initiation of parenthood. Envy of the toys another kid has, or a father that didn't abandon his family. As adults, we fail to see our children have a destiny of their own separate from ours. The uninitiated parent spends their days driving their kids from one enrichment activity to the next. They claim they are devoted to their children's happiness and success. However, they envy their offspring wide outlooks because she herself feels trapped. Uninitiated parents make it difficult for their children to undergo the initiation of birth or puberty and find their own path. Parenthood is not just about having children, but about giving birth to someone greater than you are. Children playing as parents is a deep longing ingrained in our psyche to create something larger. When we are unable to find something that we are willing to give our lives to, we beset with envy of those who seem to have the path, relationship, or career that eludes us. At the core of envy is an active psychic attack on another, a preemptive strike. If you give into this demon, you'll find yourself gossiping and judging others, tearing them down so that you can feel superior. Even listening to gossip is participating in an act of violence against the person you are hearing about.
Sure, like even
come on now.
Yeah, that's deep. But like in our own personal life as a people, like our experience, how they talking about the parents. Like do you know how many parents looked at their child and saw the talents and the gifts that they had and told them you ain't gonna be shit? Like, why are you even doing that? You can't be no lawyer, you can't be no doctor, even though this child is showing all the gifts, but the parent is in this envious place about a quality that the child got that they felt like they didn't have. They could have, maybe made their lives better, but they see these things being born in their child, but then they kill it off. They try to strip it away from being envious, of their own child. Like that has been our experience. Like so many of us have heard that, like, you ain't gonna be shit, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, like, what, you think you better than me? You know what I mean? Like, just the things that have been ran through the psyche of us as a people that we're dealing with right now, to where we think now that we can accomplish something, or we can't have something that we can truly have if we just are willing to put the work in. We don't have to envy anyone else. We don't have to be jealous of what someone else have, because we don't even know how they got it. Did they get it in a righteous way? Did they hurt people? Did they step on people? Did they kill people? Did they sell crack throughout the community and killed off thousands? But then how did they get to that, be able to drive that car that they are driving? Like, even if you look at the pastors now, like, if you notice, all these big time pastors are going back trying to repent from the fact that they've been teaching people wrong about the tithing and the offering. Like, y'all been seeing that. How they're going back repenting, saying that they have been teaching people wrong, but they knew what they was doing the whole time, but they did whatever it took for them to live this certain kind of lifestyle. So it's not the fact that a person has something, how did that person get there? Like, still, who is that person? Because we have to operate from the place of how, like, truth to accomplish the things that we are here to accomplish. You know what I mean? Put the work in to accomplish the things that we have the ability to accomplish, not to envy anyone, because, like we say, we don't know how that person got to the place that they was at, and we don't want to trade places with no one.
specifically in parenting, and it doesn't, a lot in our community, it looks like you ain't shit, right? But sometimes in our community, it looks like you're going to be a replica of who I am. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do things the way I feel like you should be doing them, then I'm disappointed and I will disown you.
Right.
Because you're not doing it in the ways that I see that you should be doing it. And so that demon actually infiltrates our own being, because now we feel like we're lacking something that somebody else has.
Right.
And so now that envy, that coveting, that jealousy comes from the fact that we don't think that we're capable of having these things that we admire or we feel that are important.
And then what we still have to do to avoid the trick, because of all of these commercials and all this propaganda that they be running on TV to influence us to think that we need something that, you know what I mean, we truly don't need. Like they influence us to envy certain things through commercials, through the television. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a major influence, and you know, like of us being envious of things that we don't even need in our life that can bring more heartache than anything else. Like if we truly had these things like in our life, like we have to be careful of that as well, the manipulation, because the people that are intentionally, you know what I mean, causing us to be envious, like what is the intentions of you wanting us to be envious of these particular things that you want us to be envious of? Like why we're not envious of this universe and nature and the fact that we are one, and why we're not, you know what I mean? And envious ain't even the right word, but like why are we not that in awe of one another? You know what I'm saying? Like who it is that we are, like, you know what I mean? The oneness that we truly share, like why is that not expiring to us, but we aspire to, you know, possess all of these things that, you know, like they are manipulating us through causing us to be envious of a lot of these things, to cause us to treat each other in a certain kind of way, or come out here and do anything to accomplish or get that thing, like the manipulation behind it all. We have to be aware of all of that.
One of the things that stand out for me about envy specifically is that it's a psychic attack. When we engage in gossiping about other people, that you're attacking that person. When you decide that I'm not saying nothing about that person, but I'll listen to what you got to say, girl, what's the tea? You know what I'm saying? You attacking them. You are attacking them because at the core of that gossip is that you feel like they have something that you don't possess. You know what I'm saying?
And what's the step of that? Because in a lot of cases, what this is talking about, it comes from our own home. It comes from our own parents. And now we come out here and we envious of others. Like we gossip. Like, you know how somebody will walk in the room and won't even know, don't even know them, but just because they might be fly or something, or just whatever, you know what I mean? You turn in on them. You turn in on them. You know what I mean? Like this is the way that we tear each other down.
It's an act of violence. That's one of the biggest things that I think that we all should be taking with us. It's an act of violence to participate in gossiping about anybody, whether you're saying it yourself or whether you're listening to it. It's an act of violence upon that person. And ultimately, when you're acting in a way of violence towards that person, you're ultimately just bringing it back on yourself.
Right.
So how do we, what is the executive function of envy? It's the angel of compassion. To remedy envy requires compassion for yourself. Once you accept yourself as you are now, you can move forward in discovering what is hidden inside of you, the positive shadow elements that need to be brought into the light so that they can stop serving as food for the demon of envy. You will find that sense of lack stems from misplaced aspects of yourself that you are oblivious to, your own beauty, your own intelligence, your own talents. The light of compassion will reveal the dysfunction in the family used to envy and the sadness in the person you thought of as the very symbol of success. Your eyes will open with kindness and consideration for their vulnerabilities and wounds, and appreciation for your own potential to be of service to others. Compassion also means awareness of the suffering of others and the desire to relieve it. It is not unusual to have the realization when we see someone less fortunate and say, "There, but the grace of God go I." But this is not compassion. This is simply realization that through good fortune or circumstances, you seem to have a slightly more comfortable or privileged life. Compassion requires social action. It is a call to do something about the suffering we perceive in the world. For a shaman, this
Right.
means correcting wrongs that you witness, speaking up when necessary, regardless of how uncomfortable it may feel and how much disapproval you might meet. Compassion for a shaman is not simply feeling sorry for somebody, it's doing something about it.
Right.
Compassion allows you to reconcile your inner image of yourself with the face you present to the world. You no longer expend energy keeping up with a charade. You can become a good parent to your ideas and projects and know that you'll nourish these children of yours rather than neglecting them or expecting them to fill a void inside of you. As you practice compassion, you can become an agent of joy and peace.
Right. See, this is what they do. Like, they'll give us a symbol of success, right? And then they'll allow this symbol to speak. Like, they're using it a lot in music right now. Like, they give someone that appears to be extremely successful, and they'll play their music, sell the drugs, kill your brother, pimp your sister. Like, all of these things that they begin to program into us to make us think this is the road to success. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why we only get a certain kind of music right now. They understand what they are doing. You know what I mean? They're programming us on a subconscious level, thinking that this is the way to success. In order, you know, and doing that, they turn us into something that we're not true. Like, they turn us into demons, into the demon that thing is feeding. They awaken that demon in us more and more. And so, like, I want us to see and understand how this is happening in everyday life right now, how they're only feeding people's demons.
Yes.
In life.
Yes.
They're feeding our demons. And like, what does it really mean to be me? Like what would it take for me to really feel like a king? I don't really need to have all of these things, you know what I mean? As long as I can take care and provide for my family, have the resources that I need, have a roof for us to live in, have a queen that understands that I'm, you know what I mean, that sees me and values me, to have raised beautiful and healthy children, to have friends that are truly friends. You know what I'm saying? It don't take all of what they're giving us or trying to show us. Like, this is the only way you can be happy. This is what happiness look like. They're manipulating us.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting too, like, you know, a current situation in my life. This hit me really hard today because the current situation in my life, looking at the dysfunction of my family,
right,
understanding that our parents are our first teachers, right? And so children truly want to make their parents proud. And a lot of times the demons that our parents are dealing with within their own life can affect us. And so right now in my current situation, it's giving me compassion in a way of understanding where all of this dysfunction, all of this trauma is stemming from. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not, and again, it's not just about that understanding. It's about the action that's taken, that you take in order to rectify it. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough to just be like, oh, I feel so bad for them. It's not enough to be like, oh, if only the grace of God, only by the grace of God, this is not happening to me. That's bullshit, really.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that we can do in order to make this a better experience or place?
Right.
The point of our existence is to make the world better than what we were born into.
Leave it in a better condition. To create a better condition. This is what we're here for. To create better conditions.
And the way that we get to better conditions is through compassion. So if you have talked to me about anything that you've been going through in your life, so many times I say, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself, because you cannot offer compassion if you do not give compassion to yourself first. It starts with you. When you start to really show yourself the love and the compassion and the gentleness that you seek, the kindness, the consideration that you seek outside of yourself, then you are able to offer those things to people as they move through their vulnerabilities and their wounds. And that's how we create safe places.
Right. And then also understanding, like, what will bring us true happiness. Like, what will bring us true happiness from who it is that we are, for the gift and talents that we possess inside of ourselves, through tapping into those things, giving those things the energy that they deserve. Like, what kind of reality would that produce for us? Like, it don't have anything to do with anyone else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because what makes someone else happy may not make you happy. Like, you have your own personal you know what I mean, things that are gonna bring you happiness, like when you follow them through. But so we can get out of this manipulation of this is what happiness looks like. No, like
Happiness,
what is happiness for you?
happiness really can't come if you're not willing to transform yourself from the demon to the angel. That's just
Right.
facts.
And then combine the two.
You know what I'm saying? If we can't understand these things in that kind of way, then we'll
Right.
never really truly experience joy and happiness.
Because right now most people are just consumed by the demon because that's all that
We're being
we're
fed.
being fed.
Absolutely.
The demon is being fed. The wolf of hate is being fed.
The sixth demon is of gluttony, and it's conquered by temperance. The sixth demon is gluttony. A glutton has no self-control and gives into the desire continually to consume. It's a bottomless need to have more. In America, the most common example of glutton is overeating.
Right.
But it is not the only form of glutton. The gluttonous desire to possess personal wealth is contrast with alchemist's quest for spiritual transformation, where the goal symbolizes enlightenment. The demon of gluttony tests us at the doorway to sagehood, knowing that we may stall there, unwilling to accept our loss of flexibility and strength and respond to the wisdom that calls to us from the other side of the passage. Hesitating, we try to assuage painful feelings by consuming more than is necessary and reaching in vain for what we can never again have: youthful energy, physical vitality, attractiveness, quickness, and in some instances, the health we have lost. In our anguish, we look over the wisdom we have gained as we've grown older, the power to step back from daily drama and disengage from it, slow down yet remain fit, to be contemplative and to expand our creativity in new directions.
Right.
If we pass this initiation, we embrace the gifts of sagehood instead of pining for the youth that has passed, for worrying about the infinite number of days we have left. We stop scurrying to amass wealth. We are able to recognize that we'll continue on our journey after death of the physical body, and can embrace the time we do have instead of squandering it by trying to regain what is long gone in a vain attempt to stave off death.
In other words, like what I get from this is do everything in moderation. Do everything in moderation, because too much of anything can be detrimental to your life. Do it all in moderation. Like even if a person is dealing with the illness, if you give too much of yourself to just that illness, you even have to do that in moderation, because you have to go into the healing aspect on the other aspect or other side of sickness. You have to be able to tap into wellness as well. But if you're too busy just focused in on the dis-ease, then it's going to become it can become detrimental to you. Like we have to do everything in moderation. Like it can be gossip. You do too much gossip, you know what I'm saying? Just anything that, like, a person can drink too much water. Water can bring you life, but then water can drown you. At the same time, like everything has to be done in moderation.
One of the things that we see is the lack of elders. So many times I hear us talking about how there's no elders. There's elders, but there's no elders. And a lot of time that's because we are resisting our wisdom. We are resisting that stage of life. But in indigenous cultures, being an elder was having high status. It was that you have obtain some type of mastership over life's experiences. And so a lot of times what we're seeing is people trying to hold on to their youth. They're trying to hold on to their attractiveness. They're trying to hold on to their vitality. And those are us working against ourselves. Like we haven't had enough. The
people
idea
and get surgeries and mess their face all up and all these kind of things that we see people do because of it.
And a lot of times we are not grateful for the fact that we have been able to make it to in our 40s, our 50s, our 60s, our 70s, like we've beautiful place. Right. And that life has taught us. We have not been able to see the lessons and what life has taught us. That is the true abundance. That is the enlightenment. That is the harvest. That is the goal. We're so used to running after what we consider material wealth that we are forgetting the true wealth, which is the spiritual wealth, the wisdom that has been accumulated over the lifetime of experience that we have journeyed through,
and then which we share back into the world to create a better condition. here.
Mm-hmm.
This is how that works.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, what is that thing?
That is that was gluttony.
Gluttony.
So the
Yeah.
angel of
So, but just understand how they condition us to be gluttons, though.
yes.
Like this society conditions us to be gluttons. The media conditions us to be gluttonous.
Mm-hmm.
Like in our life, to overeat, they condition us to do all of these things, to eat too much of the wrong things. Like they condition us because you hardly see commercials about healthy ways of eating and living your life, but you're gonna see all the fast food commercials that they can possibly run. You're gonna see that, but they condition us to be a glutton and put in different kind of ways. We have to be able to recognize this through the understanding that we have of what's going on earth, understanding of what's happening.
The angel of temperaments banishes the demon of gluttony and allows us to complete the initiation into sagehood. Temperance isn't rigid unwillingness to experience pleasure out to smash every barrel of fun. Temperance is about practicing moderation,
Right.
taking only what you need, and exercising self-restraint in the face of temptation to overindulge.
Temptation.
When you practice temperance, you don't squander your energy or overload your credit card. You find creative and more sustainable ways to operate. You recognize when the party has stopped being fun and turned ugly.
Right.
Gluttony results when you're enslaved by the primitive brain's perception of scarcity. Temperance frees you so that you start thinking about what you will leave for the future generations instead of only what you can accumulate for yourself today. Temperance also allows you to quietly witness what's going on from the throne of the sage who has seen this film before and knows how it's going to play out, yet remains refreshingly engaged in life. To invite in the angel of temperance requires trusting in the abundance of the universe. You judiciously limit your consumption, knowing that more will become available later.
Right.
You know that a feast awaits you down the road, as does another famine. That should have said famine, not feminine. Famine, and another feast, and so on. The shaman accepts that his time is finite, but he does not feel anxiety about it. He is able to temper the sense of urgency that fosters gluttony. We must exercise the old belief that if we don't eat now or act now, it will be too late. What we long for will be sold out, never to be seen again.
Right.
The shaman has given up his addiction to calculating how much he owns and does not need another big, important project to prove how important and influential influential person. Being a creator is an awesome enough honor for him. He does not receive credit for his accomplishments. He does not become upset. The grace and dignity that comes with initiation into sagehood more than compensates for any loss of youth. He recognizes his duty to the generations to follow. Temperance also means hardening your own steel. A sword is tempered by dipping the red hot metal into ice water and hammering out the impurities. To temple ourselves means acquiring inner strength and fortitude so that we do not stop climbing up the mountain because of a blister or giving up on a relationship because our feelings are hurt. In the predatory world, people have become hard on the outside but soft on the inside. They give up when the going gets tough and look for the easy way out. To temper ourselves means to become tough on the inside but soft on the outside and on others around us.
And you know, like I just look at that, like far as our people, like I can see how we became a very gluttonous people because of all the things that were denied of us, like all the things that like were denied of us, all the things that we didn't have, and given the opportunity to acquire certain things, then we became gluttonous about it because we never had it before, like money, like how they can give a young person some money and because we never had money as a people, that they can make that young person do whatever they want them to do in order to get more money because it's something that he didn't have as a kid growing up because of the environments and the families that a lot of us was born into, but how they condition us to be glutton and how they condition us to do whatever we felt like we had to do to acquire certain things. Like we'll come out here, we'll sell crack to all of the community so I can get this fresh car to drive around in the neighborhood in, or just this goal or just whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you can see how we became very gluttonous, people that would do almost anything to acquire something that they felt like they were denied of their whole life, which was a symbol of some type of success. But we all know that they have gave us the wrong symbol of success, because the true symbol of success is community. People being there for one another, like things like that. Like that's what true success is. People, like no one trying to make it in this world alone, but this person has the support of a community around. Like this is what real riches is, but they gave us a whole nother example of that. Of what it means to be truly successful. So this has all been manipulation.
One of the things that we can see, especially like in the celebrity realm, right, is when people get a whole lot of money, they spend it on ridiculous things, right? Fancy 100 fancy new cars. Let's say 5 fancy new cars, big ass mansion that nobody's really sleeping in. You know what I'm saying? To be in there by yourself instead of having the wisdom of moderation. Like I'm only going to get as much as I really truly need for myself and for in the future generations. One of the things that other cultures do or say is that, when they're working, they're not even working for themselves because their parents work for them. So they're working for the future generations to make sure the future generations have what they need and so on and so forth. But us as a people, because of our upbringing into scarcity, we only worry about ourselves. And many times, unfortunately, when we pass on, there's nothing left for the next generation.
Like we all be starting from ground zero.
It happens so many times.
It don't be no inheritance that be coming down to make rare. Things it's rare. You know what I mean? To make things a little bit easier for ourselves.
And if it's not enough.
Yeah, I was working with this man. I think he was from Honduras or somewhere, but he was saying he had 2 sons and how he was working and he bought both of his sons their own houses, like the cars, like the basic things that they needed, because he said it was their job to continue to take the name up. So he was working to ensure that his children had certain things that would make their life easier so they could focus more on taking, life up. But we rarely get that. We rarely get that, like as children, where something is left for us so we don't have to fall victim to a lot of things that the youth fall victim to in order to acquire something as simple as a car. Like the things that we'll do. Or home, or just, you know what I'm saying?
Temperance.
Right. And so
the 7th demon is pride, and it is conquered by humility. According to the story of Lucifer in the book of Isaiah, the downfall of the angel of light was caused by pride. Lucifer actually means morning star in Latin. Lucifer challenged divine authority by daring to inhabit the highest heavens, putting himself above God, and was banished from the sky and sent to hell. It is a metaphor for what happens every dawn in the heavens when Venus, the morning star, sinks below the horizon when the sun comes up and outshines it. The serpent in the Garden of Eden, who seduced humans into sin of defying God by eating the fruit that awakened them to their self-awareness. Of course, self-awareness is essential if you're to serve in the role as creator, because it means you're cognizant of your power to create as well as your power to destroy. It's when self-awareness morphs into pride and self-importance that it is a problem. Then you are banished to your own hell. Two extremes of pride is self-absorption, too much focus on your individuality, and lack of self-awareness. The demon of pride would have you remain looking out for number one. The demon of pride will blind you to persons who are envious and greedy and hope to feed off you. It will also blind you to those who are generous and open-hearted, the very people who could help you to create what you most desire. Even if you enjoy playing the role of the hero, the wheel of fortune will turn, and your role in these stories you scripted will quickly change. Your shift from heroic, good gracious, rescuer to demanding dictator. All your efforts to control the story and continue to be attractive and admired leading man or lady will prevent you from celebrating life as it is. As we float in the pool of self-absorbed bliss, focusing on how delicious it feels, we miss the opportunity to join forces with the river pushing its life, bringing waters downstream. Our dreams become daydreams that we expect to magically transform reality. We channel surf through life, changing partners and friends when we are no longer entertained.
And so I think it's interesting how it said that Lucifer, you know, he got prideful and he wanted to be higher than God, but in that wanting to be higher than God, he got sent to the lowest place. Like, you know how people were like, yo, like a lot of times people think they better than someone else.
That's arrogance.
That arrogance, that pride, you know what I mean? Like, we have to be mindful of that, like, because they use that against us. And a lot of like in a lot of ways, like we've been felt like as a people, like we have been put in that place to always look at another people like they was better than us. Like we have been victims of pride. And so the very opportunity that we get, we want to exert that power, you know, like on a job when a certain one of our people get a certain position, they try to make you feel low, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a feeling that they never had before, you know what I mean? Of being looked at like in a certain light. We've been forced to look at another prideful people in a certain light that made us feel like we was low, like we was nothing. But the issue is that we perpetuate that like on our own people. Just as soon as like we want to feel better than the next person. This is where that crab in a barrel comes from. That concept comes from. Like we want to be above now. You know what I mean? Our own people. And that's hurting us. Like that's hurting us and like ourselves first and our family, the community. Like we see the impact of it. Like we are one. Like we are all one. No one is better than no one else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like we're just extensions of one another. So the beautiful thing that you see about someone else, like, yeah, it's to be acknowledged, but it's not for that to let us, you know, the way it goes to our head. Like me and Osuntola went to another initiation over the weekend, this ceremony that we went to. And, you know, like me and Osuntola, we went into the ceremony and we worked hard, like within this ceremony. And everybody was telling us these beautiful things, like going to our ear lotion, like to ensure that our ear lotion, our Baba lotion knew about the work that me and Osuntola put us in. But even in that, we didn't allow that to blow our heads up or to make us think that we, you know, like what we done with the roles that we played were any more important than the roles that the others were there playing. You know what I'm saying? We didn't allow it to puff us up, but it made us feel more connected to the people around us. The fact that because it was an act of service to us. It was an act of service. So those beautiful things that we find about who it is that we are, like, yo, these things are beautiful, but it's to be shared. It's not to make you think that you are better than someone else. It's to share them with those around you. It's to share them within the community because they have beautiful things about themselves that they will share. And so we have to avoid that being prideful because being prideful will allow us to manipulate to keep us at a level that we don't want nobody else to reach, or don't give someone the opportunity that you can give them so they can elevate like on their journey, but want to, you know, like hoard it for ourselves. And so we have to be very careful of that.
We have to, you know, self-awareness is so important because it helps us to pull back the arrogance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've done this and I've done that. And so I'm better than you. I'm superior to you because of what I have been able to accomplish in my life. Self-awareness helps us to understand that we're all on this journey, right? We're all working to become better. We're all working towards something. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so from that place of humility, which we'll get into, from that place of self-awareness, we will not end up in these dictator situations. Right. You know, this power hungry situation where now I can look down on you and feel like, you know, I can tell you what to do because I've obtained something that you have yet to obtain. Right.
And then we can understand how we've already suffered from that as a people. Like we suffered that from that collectively as a people, that another people thinking that they were superior to us.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that prideful energy, that demon, like we done been victims of that demon. So we have to face that demon in our own personal lives. So that we don't carry that back. And now you know, and inflict our own families and, you know, our own community in that kind of way that we have already suffered from. We see the results of being that kind of way.
Mm-hmm. The angel of humility conquers pride. The angel of humility lets us recognize your responsibility to serve others and dream a better dream for the world. The shaman knows he can accomplish anything if he's willing to let go of the need to take credit for the deed or the desire to micromanage his creation as his creation unfolds. He is delighted to see how what he brings to the table joins with what is brought by others as a new recipe is invented. He doesn't attract sycophants who feed his ego and his illusion that he's powerful, important, and indispensable. He recognizes when someone simply wants to be near him to suck from his power and avoids these people. The realization of how important and inconsequential we are comes with the depth of the story in which we cast ourselves as the hero and everyone else as bit players. We are no longer blinded by our own need for greatness, nor do we overlook others' quiet acts of courage. We no longer underestimate our adversaries, nor figure they are nearly as clever as we are. We no longer become easy targets for those who can outmaneuver us. The shaman recognizes that we're entrusted with the task of completing the work of creation and that we have a job to do. So she embraces the idea of being laid back, understanding that what we do matters, but that we should be at ease as we act. If we believe being a part of God excuses us from being stewards of the earth and taking care of one another, we fall into a dark hole of pride. To banish the demon of pride, we let go of the stories and embrace the practice of humility. Being humble means being down to earth.
Right.
Humility means being honest about what you are so that you will neither have to inflate nor underestimate your value. You recognize your intrinsic beauty and self-worth and are comfortable with your gifts. Right. You don't need to hide them in the shadow. When you are aware of your inner worth, you don't seek your identity outside of yourself and behave with false modesty. We all have important tasks to accomplish in this world, and humility allows us to do so without getting in our own way. Emptying the mind is the ultimate act of humility, because then you can be free even of your own preconceptions. Then you can experience everything newly as for the first time. You let go of the cynical, been there, done that attitude and become an explorer. The arrogant part of your nature dies along with your limiting stories. Humility allows you to become an amateur in awe of what you may create and to experience every situation with an attitude of never been there, never done that. You become a lover of life, seeing and feeling things freshly. Having died from the pride and self-importance, you approach situations like a sculptor molding clay, creating something beautiful.
Right. Right. You know.
I mean, y'all get it? Y'all got it.
Y'all got it.
Initiation is the journey towards illumination. Initiation brings even greater blessings than the healing of the negative emotions. It leads us to illumination, which allows us to know our divine nature and to encounter spirit and action in the great playground of creation. At last, we escape the web of predators and prey and enter into the world of creators, a unified world where we are both canvas and artist, the landscape and the paintbrush. True initiation is an inner calling. It requires you to face personal challenges heroically and experience a genuine rebirth and a new way of being.
Sure.
It's a blessing. So this is what I mean when I'll be like, you know, we have to walk through our own darkness to get to illumination. Right. Like everything is not rainbows and glitter all the time, but as we walk through this darkness, we can expect the miracles to happen. We can expect the light, the illumination. We can expect for all the goodness to come. Right. We can anticipate this rebirth of who it is that we are now in the newness. Right. And so like one of the things that Conjure and I are experiencing, even as we talk, is trying to recognize and understand ourselves in this newness that we are. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because initiation has happened. Right. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that we've had to confront as we walk through the initiation. You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that you all are confronting as well in your own personal lives. Understanding that as you are courageous enough to encounter, to confront these demons within yourself, they will integrate and you will be somebody completely new. You get to define your reality. You get to define the newness that you are.
Right.
It's personal.
Perfect.
It's so personal. Good gracious. Keep moving. Keep moving. Hold on just a minute, y'all. Walk through your own darkness. The initiation process breaks up old emotions along with their habits and behaviors, washing away the long-established neural pathways in your primitive brain. You become free of the debilitating grip of emotions and are able to experience pure feeling again. You create new pathways in your brain. After you install one of the 7 higher qualities, you look back at the memory of the painful experience through new eyes and discover the lessons it taught you. Each time you consciously decide to replace anger with compassion towards self and others, every time you replace hurt and pride with the powerful force of humility, you lay down new pathways in your brain. You bring the angels of your higher self. Ashe. Questions, comments, feedback, concerns. I know it was long. I didn't know it was going to be that long, but we want to make sure we showed you every aspect in every way.
Right.
Question. Go ahead. Kim Renee, did you have something you want to add? Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, peace, y'all. I didn't really have something to add. It was just that last one about the pride and the humility. I've had heard people speak about humility and how like it's not really of a positive aspect. And even though pride also is not of a positive aspect, they basically was putting those things in a similar light. I was wondering if there was like they spoke more like of awareness and to have, like you all were saying earlier, about the compassion and things like that, and the empathy, those type of things more so than the humility, because sometimes when we think of humility, we think of putting ourselves small and like letting people, and it gives opportunity for people to take advantage and to be unkind, and we accepting that as like, oh, well, let me just be humble and fall back. And I just don't know if that's I know that's the word that was used in the the information, but sometimes we have to we might have to like tweak it a little bit, I guess, just one might say. But I get the gist of the foundation, and I just want to know if you all had heard things like that.
Absolutely. A lot of people, especially in our community, will talk about humbleness and how humbleness means being lower than somebody else, right? A lot of times what we are seeing is that people are only operating from the places of healing that has happened in their own lives. And so as a community, as a people, we have felt lower than everybody else. And so that's why so many times we'll hear people say, you don't want to be humble, but that's coming from a place of lack of self-awareness, There's nothing that anybody can do to make me feel differently about who it is that I am.
And at the same time,
you know what I'm saying? But that's not for me to be out here arrogant about who it is that I am. And it's also not for me to feel as if somebody is better than I am. It's supposed to be a balance. We're supposed to be walking this middle path. So when we're talking about humility, what we're saying is my energy speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? What we're saying is, I don't have to boast about who it is that I am, and I don't have to try to take credit for everything that is being accomplished because of who I am. I understand that if it was not for the collective, you know what I'm saying? I am because we are. You know what I'm saying? My role in this is not any less important than your role in this. That's something that's beautiful about Orisha worship that I am learning, is how everybody's role is necessary in the creation of these ceremonies, these initiations that are happening. Nobody's role is lesser than anybody's role. If we didn't have the person to cook, then we would all be out here all day and all night hungry. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't have the people to go pick the herbs that are necessary, then the ingredients that are necessary for these things to take place would not happen.
Let me add this right here. Like I said earlier, a lot of times you got to put a person's demons in place, because I'm not going to allow nobody to make me feel less than. That's all it is to it. I ain't going to allow that to happen. Like sometimes, like the slideshow said, a lot of times it be the demons that be using the person. So like when I recognize that, I don't care if I'm on a job, I don't care where it is, it's getting checked right then and there, because you're not going to make me feel less than. I recognize that demon that is showing his face, and you're not getting ready to intimidate me. You're not getting ready to embarrass me. You ain't getting ready to do any of that. I didn't lost jobs because of that. I'm not getting ready. That's not getting ready to happen. Like, you're going to respect me. You know what I'm saying? You ain't getting ready to come and think that you're getting ready to demean me or belittle me or anything like that in a public eye or personally. Like, I'm going to check it. I'm going to check it, especially when I recognize that for what it is, because people do that. Like, and a lot of times it'll be our own people. That's what I said. Like, they give us little positions on the job, and then your own people be trying to embarrass you. Like, nah, like that ain't getting ready to happen. You know what I'm saying? And so it's being able to recognize like what humble really means, on how people do use it to make you feel like less than, like let somebody talk to you any kind of way and you just sit there and take it. I don't look at it like
even in roles like in the church, right? Like the pastor being the head, so we have them on this pedestal, is really about not having anybody on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? And so even in those situations, like we put the pastor on this pedestal and feel like we have to humble ourselves to the pastor, but the pastor is sleeping with half the congregation. Oh. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are dealing with their own demons, and a lot of times that we're not aware, we don't have the self-awareness. And that's what I was saying. It's in the self-awareness of where that demon is showing its face at.
And then also,
but it's not for us to be nobody's doormat.
And then also those moments where you have to use a word like humble, like whenever you go to a ceremony, like man, Osuntola just went to an initiation ceremony, like certain people was given certain positions, and you have to honor the position that that person
it's
playing. Like whoever's working the kitchen, you can't go into the kitchen when that person has been placed in that kitchen to operate the kitchen and think you get ready to take over or something. You get ready to fall under that person, the way that they're operating within that kitchen. You got to be humble enough to, you know what I mean, to do that. You can't go in there arrogant, oh, you doing that wrong, I wouldn't have did. You can't go in there in that kind of energy. You have to humble yourself, like knowing when to humble yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, and knowing when it's a demon that's presenting itself, and I'm not humbling myself to that. I'm checking. You know what I'm saying? Every time.
And that's the thing, like just being able to recognize, like, you know, we talked about anger. So we recognize when somebody is pushing that hot button, right? We recognize that. So within ourselves, what is being called for?
Right.
All of these things that we're talking about is about an integration. We're not saying get rid of any of it. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible. Everything in our life is really playing out for us to be triggered in order to look at ourselves more. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about like, okay, well, you know, today I was able not to cuss somebody the hell out because I was angry, but tomorrow I might face somebody else that might push that button. You know what I'm saying? So it's like being able to recognize, have such a self-awareness to understand what is being warranted.
But when someone pushes that button, you make sure you take the time that's needed, because in most cases, it takes walking off, or just because so you can have the time to get into those higher faculties of who it is that we are, not just act from an emotional place. So the goal is always integration. Like that's the goal, because people are going to push your buttons out here in this world and on these jobs. People is going to do that, but you can't cuss everybody out. Like you can't make a scene everywhere you go because someone is trying to draw that out of you. You have to take that time that's necessary to breathe, or just let me walk away and come back to this. And we can't let pride prevent us from doing that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All right, okay.
Anybody else?
Hey y'all, I'm running the errand, but listen, y'all on point with everything. Like every single, you know, of the 7 deadly sins or whatever you all were calling it, and everything like that, up to, you know, our egos. I know y'all didn't put it that way, but our
Egos.
egos,
Right.
being egocentric, is what causes a lot of the conflict and things that we go through. And, just this week, being tested in and how I handle things and making sure that, we and being open is what opened doors to blessings. So this entire class has been like water.
I say.
I see.
Y'all because
Mhm.
it has been amazing. Y'all on point. Y'all doing a great job.
Thank
And
you.
I really do appreciate each and every one of you all, just even with the ones who share. And it's causing me to, mature and mature fast. And I'm just really humble and grateful for it all. And I know we gonna get tested soon, to
Right.
apply what we've learned. We can't, think that just because we got it, that we, ain't gonna keep getting tested in it, because each level is higher and higher. So
Right.
I really appreciate you all.
I say.
I say, Queen, we appreciate you as well.
Absolutely.
Your reflections.
One of the most hardest things to do is be vulnerable and being able to and share our experiences and the things that we consider weaknesses with people. That can be really one of the hardest things that we encounter. And so I just want to say to you specifically, Mocha, I appreciate your willingness to express your journey. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate your willingness to really, be open and authentic. This is the journey towards authenticity. You know what I'm saying? And so, I'm really appreciative, and I'm glad that it's feeding you all in the ways that it is.
Yeah, and I just want to say to Karen Renee, like a lot of times, we can get people straight without getting out of cats. You know what I'm saying? Without making a scene and stuff like that. We can get somebody straight. Like with this kindness of words, you can get somebody straight.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes, I most definitely agree with that.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Absolutely. So, does anyone else have anything else?
Peace, family. I just wanted to hop on and say I'm grateful, always forever grateful for the knowledge. And I just love the way it always comes together every time we meet up. Anything that I'm questioning or anything like that, I come to this class and I always get that confirmation, that validation. I'm where I'm at, exactly where I'm supposed to be, And I was watching Black Lightning on Netflix the other day.
Right.
And coincidentally, it was an episode on shadow work. And it was like he was battling himself. He was really not wanting to dwell in those powers anymore. He was looking at them more than a burden than a blessing. And at the end of it, like Conjure said, he had to become one with them. He realized the power and the oneness with that.
Right.
So I'm learning how to operate in that duality of myself and not feeling imbalanced in that. So it's like, whoo, everything's just coming together and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's like a roller coaster of emotions I've been on, y'all know, the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. But I went to a sound healing yesterday on the water, and that really just touched my spirit, and it really allowed me to release what I need to release and really look inwards on that shadow work, what I need to focus on, and allow those things to bring forth in me and not running from those things. So I'm really just finding the strength in that, allowing myself to know I'm made for this, because a lot of times, like you guys, y'all said, our ancestors, we were chosen for this. And I really do go back and forth on that struggle. Like, why me? I ain't the strongest one in the team, Jesus. God, I know what the ancestor spirit, I don't know what you're doing, but it's like, and I always have that constant, as soon as I start questioning myself, it's that answer, that confirmation comes in. This is why. Spirit, and as soon as you said it, I'm still questioning myself, and Spirit started speaking to me. This is why, because you have that mind, and you started answering those questions without even knowing.
That integration.
Yeah. And so I honestly feel like I've been Spirit has been pressing me to get on this initiation journey for the past 2 or 3 years, because I've been I've been having this experience, I want to say since like 2019, and I never understood what it was. I always felt like I was losing my damn mind. So I'm grateful for the knowledge that is coming together and it's starting to make sense now. Even when Conjure says, allow those feelings and not put a story behind it.
Right.
I'm grateful in that because I was always trying to connect the dots now, and it was frustrating because I couldn't, but now it makes so much sense. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the confirmation. I love y'all.
Love you
We
too.
love you too, Sasha.
And, you
And
know, like even you know, like I be using the Bible because a lot of us come up with that. Like even Jesus asked God to remove the cup. If it's possible, like remove this cup from me. You know what I'm saying? Like we have those moments, but it didn't change Jesus's like path, like what he knew he was here to accomplish. He still accomplished that just off the story baseline of it. Like we have those moments of why me. You know what I'm saying? But why not you? Like you have like, yo, you chosen for this.
And one of the
And so-
things that really sparks for me right now is that, you know, like, I guess one of the best things about this is that we can recognize that this is a programming that we all are dealing with.
Right.
And because it's a programming that we're all dealing with, we're not really alone, but that some of us have the courage to confront them. You know what I'm saying? That we have the ability to confront them, the strength to confront these things about ourselves and work on them to make it better in our own individual lives. And so in actuality, what we do, instead of expecting for the world to change for us, we change our world.
We change the world.
You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times, you know, in the past classes, they'll be like, I want to come to the enchanted life, but it's the enchanted life that I've created around myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's the enchanted life that you're creating around yourself by being able to confront these things about yourself. So, Sasha, I know it has not been easy. A lot of time, you know, again, we talk to a lot of people. We walk, you know, we do our best to be present as you walk through the journey, as we're walking through our own personal journey. And again, that's why I'm always reminding you, be gentle with yourself and be proud of what you've been able to accomplish. Be proud that, you know, you were able to answer the call, because many people ignore it. Right. You know what I'm saying? People, and a lot of people, when given the opportunity to stand up and face it, they walk the other way.
And then also make, like you've been doing, you gave a great example of how you're using your understanding. That's the key. You know what I mean? How the Bible say above all things, gain understanding. Like we know, you know, the lack of it is the reason why people perish. You know what I'm saying? So one of the most beautiful things about what you said is that you begin to tap into your understanding, like, and then your own questions start getting answered. You know what I'm saying? You realize, I know why.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Does anyone else have something to say? Kiwana look like she's so, like, it's so profound, like something so profound just sitting there.
I mean, it is. No, I'm just integrating it all. I feel like y'all just went through every graduate class I took in psychology.
Wow. Wow.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, wow, like this is, you know, it's familiar, but yet just having the whole spiritual spin on it, I'm like, wow, like this is what makes it make sense outside of the book. So I'm putting it all in my mind.
Kiwana, that's the same thing I said though. Like, you know, we've all heard of these 7 deadly sins before, and we've all associated them with one specific type of thing. Like the one that stands out to me the most is gluttony. You know what I'm saying? We all know that, like, big people going to the buffet and spending the whole day there eating, you know what I'm saying?
Not even big people, like if you're going through, like they say how when someone is depressed or something, like they become gluttons, like they eat like chocolates and just go in, just how it shows up in different aspects of our life, no matter if you big or not, you know what I'm saying?
And one of the things that I'm grateful for is that because of what we have been experiencing in our own lives, we attracted to us the information that was needed to be able to see things differently. You know what I'm saying? To come to understanding, and then even with our own personal journey, being able to see it with clearer eyes, so that now we understand how we are to disassemble the story. You know what I'm saying? And what it is that we are truly meant to do with this experience that we're experiencing, so that we can grow. So I know, like, you know, I remember even when I was in the church, the deadly sins, you know, they have movies, there's so many different things. And even when you hear about them previously, it was almost as if, how do we overcome these things? Like, it seems like it's such an innate part of us, like you just want us to suppress them, and a lot of times we do try to suppress them, which makes them bigger, what grows them, you know what I'm saying, instead of being able to
bring them to the light.
Exactly. And that integration process, like, okay, yeah, I'm mad right now, let me go ahead and deal with this anger.
All they teach us is to stay away from these things, stay away from these devils,
but they don't teach you what that looks like, or even that, you know, these are the opposite sides of it. Like, I've never seen it in a way where they tell you, okay, well, this is what the demon is, and this is what the angel is.
And this is
you know
how
what I'm saying? And this is how we bring the two together. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely, I love the way the universe works. Again, the universe always provides exactly what we need, exactly in the timing that we need, in order for us to get to the next stage of development.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything else to say? Everybody is good? So what I think I'm gonna do is go into the group sometime this week to talk about what is expected going forward. But since you all are here, I will just go ahead and mention that this is truthfully the end of the lecture part of the course. As we move into the next two, and I'm asking for my vets to do this too, so y'all are not exempt. But as we move into, you know, the last two classes, that now you are able to tell us about your illumination. Tell us about your initiation into the etheric touch and who you have become in this process, what this process has done in your life, how it has changed you. Like, this is what is expected. And I expect that we won't be able to do it in one setting. So, you know, some of us will do it in the next class, the rest of us will do it in the last class, but that's all that is expected. And then from there, you will receive your certifications for everybody who actually completes, what I mean is explains, expresses. Like, remember in the beginning, I said it's for you to express to us who you have become. You know what I'm saying? So if you are able to express who you have become in this journey, then that's how we are going to finish it all out. Do you have anything?
And then also,
he said no and then started.
I know, right? But then also, like, this is not just the end, this is a new beginning as well, because the journey continues. And you know, me and Osuntola, even though the etheric touch in the way that it has been, is coming to an end, but in that ending, something new is being born. So we will definitely share that information with y'all as well.
Absolutely. Within this next week or so, we will be inviting you all to participate in the next stage of the journey with us. If you are feel called to do so.
We're going deeper or higher, however you want to look at it. Like, we got to get this African mind state back, this African perspective that has been taken away, that has allowed to put us in the place of being victims as a people. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't done. You know what I mean? It's a rebirth, though. It's a rebirth. So
until the next time, y'all, we love you.
Peace.
Peace.
Love you guys back.
Oh, Kianga.
Kianga.
Peace,
I didn't hit the mic fast enough.